go? All right, good morning, good morning. We'll go ahead and get this meeting started. This is the special budget meeting of the Lodgers Tax Committee of the Village of Rio Dosa for Tuesday, April 13th. And with that, we will open the meeting. First item on the agenda, the approval of minutes from the Lodgers Tax meeting of March 11th, 2021. If you've had a chance to look over those, if we have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, and it makes a motion a second.
I second.
All right, just three of us, so I hope it goes well. All righty, motion approves. Let's move on. Reports, Lodgers Tax financial report. Is Judy on or is she?
On the Zoom.
Okay.
Judy, and we'll just have you give us the financial report.
I don't see her at her desk. I see her screen.
I wonder if Jeff has to unmute her. Oh yeah, I do see her desk, but not her.
I just this is Samantha walk by. As soon as she walks by again, I'll ask her to go back to her desk.
Okay. Deborah, would you like to go ahead and jump in?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Just quick visitor center update. We have opened the visitor center at the chamber. We have one employee right now who is working that. We're open Monday through Friday. We had initially opened on Saturday, but there were maybe one phone call, two people coming in. So we figured she was better used on Mondays rather than Saturdays. We will get a second employee in before the summer to open that back on Saturdays as well, and to have two employees in there most of the time. We're having computer issues with the marquee. We're hoping to get that back up and running soon with our fingers crossed really hard. Billy the Kid Visitor Center, I think we're going to open that back up later on this month. The two employees that were working there last year have agreed to come back to work, so they're kind of ready to come back. We're just working on getting some COVID safe stuff in there. We need to get some plexiglass installed around the desk and a few other things, but we have had the visitor center cleaned and it's ready to go. So that's kind of where we are right now on the visitor centers. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't think so. I think we're all excited to get going again. I bet you are too. Thank you, Deborah.
Welcome.
All right, is Judy on yet?
Looks like not.
Apparently not. All right.
David, is David on?
Hi guys, I'm here.
Awesome.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and give us, I know you said you had some updates for the convention center. We're obviously sitting in the convention center, so we'd love to hear what you got going on with the convention center coming up.
Well, we are at, we're considered a mass gathering location, so our max capacity is going to be 150. So we're excited to have any number above 5, 10, 25. So we're running ahead with our 150 max capacity number. We're going to be, of course, giving first priority to our canceled groups, the groups that have had to cancel over the past year and a half. So we're rescheduling them as soon as they're able to, towards the end of the year, and they have first priority in 2022. We did meet with the village, and it was decided that an incentive discount program is not going to be something that we're going to move forward with. But we are excited to keep going. We're excited to keep pushing. That 150 number is exciting to us. I've booked just now recently a car show in September, and then I have also a possible cornhole tournament with about 300 to 500 people coming, hopefully, in July. but that's going to be outside. So we're going to have our 150 indoors, and then we're going to have the rest of the people outside in the parking lots.
Can I ask a question? Because this is, and maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't, but with some of these events where it's limited to 150, it seems like perhaps you could do like a staggered different stages. So I'm just thinking like Great American Beer Festival, they'll bring in, the morning session, the afternoon session, the morning session, the afternoon session over like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that an approach that would be applicable for the convention center to expand on the size of these events and to leverage that further? Is that something you guys have discussed?
Yes, it is something that we've already discussed, having somebody at the door with a counter, limiting that 150, and then, kind of exchanging, like you said, the different sessions in and out. So yeah, and then that in conjunction with also outdoor space being utilized, we're going to hopefully continue to keep these bigger groups with us until we can be larger than 150.
And on that note, I have been hearing from the state level that to start preparing for larger events, they were really more specific to outdoor, but they did say start preparing for larger events this summer. But hopefully we'll see some changes now that a lot of the state is in turquoise. So hopefully we'll see some of those changes and what the next steps are. But looking forward to it, man. I'm happy we're getting back in business.
Yes, us too. Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions, comments?
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I spoke with one of the governor's advisors, Dan Schlegel. He's a small business advisor to the governor. And he said that a convention center would fall under the large entertainment venue, which would be a 33% capacity rather than the mass gathering of 150. Has anybody else heard anything like that?
We got confirmation that we were mass gatherings from Rodney himself, and I'm not sure who he spoke with, but we were told it was mass gatherings, so 150.
Because I did, it was every week we have a biweekly meeting with the New Mexico Chamber Exec Association, and this gentleman has been on our calls pretty much all year long, and he is his name is Daniel Schlegel, and he's the small business advisor to the governor. And I specifically asked him about convention centers, and he said yes, they would fall under the large entertainment venue.
If you have a contact number for him,
Or if I could interrupt, this is Rodney, the Parks and Recreation Director. What I'll do is I'll review that information with the manager. The manager does speak with Mr. Schlegel on a regular basis as well. So I'll revisit that issue and get a clarification.
That'd be awesome, because that's really going to affect whether we can have Art Fest or not.
Thank you for your time, David. I appreciate it. And thanks for your additional comments, Deborah. That'd be pretty exciting if that was a possibility. And I think Judy will be back in her office momentarily, so we can go ahead and go to the agency, Carrie Gladden, Carrie and Kelly.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen, Justin, okay?
Yes, if you can do it, go ahead. Jeff isn't in here. If I need to go grab him, I can. I don't know if, oh, yep, it looks like it's enabled. You're good.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, members of the committee. We're going to go ahead and go through this pretty quickly. So for social, for the first quarter of this year, we're in a third quarter. For January through March, we had an increase in overall impressions, a pretty significant increase, and then an increase in post link clicks, so traffic back to the website. And a lot of that was due to the fact that we started advertising more heavily once the 14-day travel restriction was lifted back in February. So that's what some of that is. And also because a lot of those ads were just related to brand awareness, there wasn't as much of an engagement in terms of call to action. So our engagement number is down a little bit. This is also comparing it to the quarter before. which we had some pretty early snowstorms in October, November, and that always increases our engagement. So that's part of the reason why that engagement number is down a little bit. But overall, in terms of impressions and traffic to the website, we're looking good. You can see here, just this is that engagement number that I was talking about for the first quarter. And then in terms of impressions, that number is slowly going up, also just due to the ads that we've been running. But the fact that we've over 8 million is pretty significant. And then no surprise there, all of the top performing posts for that quarter are related to snow. That's typically the case for us. And in terms of engagement, you can see the number there for each post. Instagram, it looks a little bit different. Some still snow related, but also the spring break posts with the deer, that performed well both on Instagram and on Facebook. Twitter, same sort of deal, mainly about snow. And then YouTube. So the interesting thing about YouTube is all of these videos are, you can see the timestamp on them. They're all a couple of years old. And so that just shows the value of continuing to put out content out there, because Justin and I were just actually texting last night about a TikTok that he had put out, I think it was a year ago, that just hit 10,000. It reached 10,000 people, and it was published a year ago. So this YOLO Texas video, they came out a couple of years ago, and it had 4,000 views just in this through January through March. So the idea that we continually put out content, but sometimes things take off after the fact, and it's interesting to see that happen. Pinterest is another one I know about some from the last quarter that we continue to be more active on, and we've seen a growth in our overall audience there. And in terms of impression, the engagement was down a little bit, but for Pinterest being such a planning sort of app, people turn to that if they're planning a kitchen or a vacation. And so that's part of the reason why we've increased our presence there on Pinterest. One change that I wanted to update you on, and this is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but I know I talked briefly last quarter about how we were working with the tourism department, and they were providing us with some supplemental content, and that at that time we were using Buffer. That is now shifted, and we've moved over to another platform called Hey Orca that just has a little bit different functionality and the opportunity to kind of see what the grid looks like on Instagram, and it has still the same kind of calendar feature like Buffer does and like Sprout does that we use on our own. But we continue to work with the state on this monthly social calendar, and it's been nice to kind of have access to different assets, new assets, just kind of a different point of view. So that's been a good partnership so far. And then I mentioned how we had increased our overall advertising in January through March. We reached close to 1 million people in terms of the ads that we ran. So that overall number that I mentioned earlier in terms of social, yes, a big chunk of that is related to who we were reaching on advertising, but then a lot of that is organic. So here on this chart, you can see that we were pretty steady January through February, mid-February. A lot of that time was, Rio Dosa Safe campaign, a little bit of brand awareness, but a lot of that. And then as soon as the 14-day was lifted, we increased pretty significantly in terms of our overall reach, but also our overall spend to really push for that spring break crowd. And then also just continuing to do the plan your visit safely, but plan your visit. This was our top performing ad. And we have two different versions of this one. One is kind of a little bit more retail focused, and one is a little bit more outdoor focused. And we've been promoting both of those, both on our pages and then also within ads. And this is kind of the message that we've been focused on, that we're ready for you to discover Rio Dosa, but safely. and reminding people about wearing a mask and practicing social distancing and kind of what to expect when they visit. We had this ad specifically is in a retargeting campaign. So meaning people who have visited our website or interacted with us on social, we're retargeting them. So they're already familiar with us, but we just want to remind them of what they can expect when they come. And then in terms of overall brand awareness, these were some of this is a new campaign, and Carrie can talk a little bit about that when she presents on some of the new creative and campaign that we put together. But again, kind of that we're ready for you to plan your next vacation. Let's do it safely. We have room to roam here, close to nature. And this campaign specifically, we did a retargeting, but then also a lookalike audience, meaning people who look like the audiences we're already targeting. And these are just a few more ads from that same campaign. And then for spring break, we ran ads specifically driving traffic to the website that we wanted to take people for more so than the brand awareness campaign, but we wanted people to actually take action, go to the website and plan that spring break. And for this one, we targeted parents of all ages of kids, and then in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. And then I know that Justin will talk more about the website and the website traffic, but this is just the quick snapshot of what this quarter looked like. And then some of our top performing pages. He told me that I had to keep it under 5 minutes. So I talked as fast as I could and went through it and did not take any breaks for questions. So are there any questions?
I don't think so. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You want me to keep going, Justin, or is Judy back?
Go ahead and
Let's just continue.
Yeah, let's just continue with this one, then we'll hop into Judy. I hadn't got a text that she's back yet.
Okay. For the PR portion and the municipal portion of mine, I will also try to keep it brief. You can see that we were up across social on Facebook and Twitter over the previous quarter. So that's all good. And the engagement, we were also up pretty significantly. Our top posts, again, mirror a lot of the snow. And then, unfortunately, ours is always, we're up when there is bad news. And we had some bad news. So the shootings were some of our top Facebook posts. The website traffic, that's just a snapshot of what the website traffic looked like. We were down a little bit, but we have to remember too that at the end of this quarter last year was as we were going into the pandemic. So our website was getting lots and lots of traffic at the end of this quarter last year. So that probably has something to do with the downtick. Some of our popular pages, just to look there, still, it mirrors what we've seen in the previous quarters. This is just a look at some of the special projects that we've done. We put together a campaign for Together Lincoln County, which is the countywide testing efforts that we've done with the all of the other municipalities within the county, where we've done the curative testing at the various sites each week. And so these pieces are updated every week, and they're in Spanish and in English. We do posters and email and social images so that each municipality can use them to get the message out about where their testing is going to be. These are some new signs that we put together to replace if you've been to Kids Connection, you'll see that the original ones, the tile works are coming off. And so these are some new signs that will be replaced out there. Rodney and his guys are doing. We have put up a new website for the radio station. And so if any of you get a chance, you might want to pop on and visit that. You have all of the programming that they're doing is available for replay there. So they have, whereas last quarter, we talked about how we had a page that was dedicated to them on the municipal website, and we built that out into a whole site. So hopefully that will help to market and promote the radio station. And as a part of that, we did icons for all of the programs that are on the station. And so that's just a look at those. Continuing to get messaging out for the sewer project. We do that a week in advance every week. All the PR stuff that we release for the village. And then the media coverage for the quarter, you can see that we continue to have good reach and our unique visitors per month. We had our unique visitors per month, we had 1.5 billion over that first quarter. Is that right, Kelly? My eyes are. And then the reach was 4.4 million. And I'll just remind you that the distribution, the reach is the distribution of clips over time based on their reach. Print and broadcast content is measured as audience reach based on circulation or viewership. And the unique visitors per month is how they measure online. So that's a significant number. And then you see the publicity value was 228,000. So that is good. And keep that in mind as we go to a next section that we're going to talk about as well. And then you see the sentiment is positive or neutral, which is what you want, because that's how the stories are viewed. If that ever goes more red than blue or green, that's a bad thing for us. So that's good. And then just a breakdown of where most of our media occurred in what medium. And then the share of the voice, which is, if people were using the word Ridoso or if it was mostly coming from spokespeople or campaigns. And so in this instance, you can see that 96.4% of the time it was the actual word Ridoso. So that again is good for us and what we're promoting. And then just to hit on the other thing that took place in this quarter was, as most of you are aware, the coverage that the village got out of the Fabulous Ladies Book Club and Fusion and their story that went national. And this is just an overview of some of the places that the media coverage hit. And I pulled out some of these highlights just so you could see after going through our regular quarterly numbers. These are the numbers just for that story. And so you take what we got for Ridoso during the quarter and add what this story added, and you can see how much Ridoso got in one quarter. And so you see their total reach was 141.6 million unique visitors per month, and their reach was almost 1 million. And the publicity value on that alone was 80,000. The sentiment was 93.5, positive or neutral. And then kind of a big thing to look at is the mind share or share of voice. When you look at that grid is, again, the word Ridoso. So that is very, very powerful for the village and this community. And so that page right there is just a highlight of, I included all the graphs behind it so that you can break it down. But that page is just a breakdown of that campaign. So Just wanted to give you that in a nutshell. And then on the creative, as Kelly mentioned, we shifted away from the Ridoso Safe campaign and moved to the we're ready for people to come back and discover Ridoso safely. And so these are some of the creative pieces that we did. And you can see we kind of took a new approach of the kind of the up close photography that focuses on different activities, the hiking, the mountain biking, the dining, that highlight the photography. And I think it's, we think it's very strong and sends a great message. And we've gotten really good response from it so far. And so that's what is currently running out there now.
With some of these different campaigns, you can see we're using different imagery. But the close to nature ones, some of the ones earlier in the slides that Carrie was showing, we're utilizing those not only on social, like I showed earlier, but also on outdoor. We have some billboards running. I think it's I don't remember which one now we have running. Do you remember, Carrie?
I think Justin, isn't it the mountain bike and
Or the shoes?
And the hiking?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're utilizing that for, like I said, on digital targeting, not only outdoor. We have a retirement ad that Carrie showed that we're targeting a retirement. We have built out an entire page or section on the website. We're running some ads in New Mexico Magazine that are also similar to that. And then we have some RV ads targeting kind of that hashtag van life, RV life. So really focusing a lot on the, like I mentioned earlier, discover Rio Dosa, but do it safely, and all of the outdoor amenities that we offer.
And just to finish up, we got a piece of information the other day about RVing, and in the last year, RV travel has increased 4,500% over what it was this time last year. So that's one of the reasons why we are targeting that, and that's a pretty significant increase.
Oh, and road trips is the other one. I forgot we do have that creative in here also. So we have some different pages built out on the website for road trips from like Austin and Denver,
Salt Lake,
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
So just from some different areas. And then we even have one for like Salt Lake is one that is not typically in our usual targeting, but trying to expand that overall reach, kind of going into new markets. So the idea that we're a safe, outdoor, drivable, campable, RVable, all the ables.
So that is it for our report. Kelly and I will stand for any questions that anybody has.
Just to clarify really quick too, so we're running in, we have billboards in Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, Phoenix. Where else am I missing? Dallas, San Antonio. Oh, Houston. Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, El Paso, and Phoenix. In El Paso, we're going to use that as like a kind of last minute call to action billboard. So right now that's announcing the racetracks opening, kind of that drive-in day trip market. Phoenix is a cool off message. So we're running a water sports recreation message on that. So that's a kayaker out on the lake. And then the boots are running in Dallas, San Antonio. As a part of that package, they're actually going to be inputting the current temperature up here. So it'll pull directly from the weather station that's out by the airport, and it'll input that in on that billboard in real time. So when it's getting up into the 100 degrees out in those markets, we're going to be saying, hey, we're 85, 90 degrees, so it's a lot cooler. Come up here and visit.
And that creative we just got out the door this week, and so that's why it's not included in this report, the ones with the temperature.
Judy, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Kelly. All right.
You want to do the budget report?
Yeah,
Judy?
let's go ahead and do that. Judy?
Good morning. In front of you is the March report. So we are 3/4 of the way through our fiscal year, and overall, the collections on lodgers tax through March have been 1.5 million, almost 1.6. So we are definitely over our budgeted figures for the year. Although we are down from the prior year, we're only down 6%. And again, these are the figures through February. I know we were pretty busy in March, so hopefully we'll gain back some of that reduction in the overall receipts to the year. Year-to-date paid out was 713,000. We do have 360 in POs. And at the end of June, we had a cash balance of 1.3 million. Some of that money will be spent on encumbrances. And I know we have talked about maybe rebudgeting some other projects. So we're still in good shape with 3 last months in the fiscal year. So at this point, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Alan and I were looking at May last year and we're like, that's a typo. There's no way we only brought in $8,400 in May, but we realized that was right whenever they had shut everything down.
We were closed. So we may be pretty close.
Does the board have any questions for Judy? Anything that we want to discuss?
I don't think so.
Cool. Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Judy. I'll introduce you, Justin. Let's go ahead.
All right, I'll be brief. I just like to compare kind of, instead of comparing to 2020 on the website visits, I compared it to 2019 because I feel like that was a more of a realistic scope of what things would look like. So you see overall sessions from 2021, this year to 2019, we're down 31%. But considering we really didn't start running advertising, like strong advertising, until February-ish, that's not too bad. The encouraging thing that I did see from this report is overall new sessions were up 50%. So to me, that means we're just gaining, some of the stuff that Carrie was mentioning in the PR report. We're just gaining a ton of new eyeballs on Rio Dosa, which is a great thing in the long term. One of the things that I like to look at too is just where our traffic's coming from. So top 10 sources. And the one that has just been rallying lately is Phoenix. So we're seeing a ton of traction out of Arizona. They've now hit number 5 in terms of our website searches. They're up 282% compared to 2019. So that is going to be a huge expanding market for us to be able to tap into and capitalize. And I think that we're going to continue to be able to leverage that for additional market share. So that in conjunction with Tucson. So both of those markets collectively. Just looking overall, you guys, I kind of put some additional reporting in here, so feel free to kind of dive in and take a look at it as, for some additional details and data. We do have the Visit widget app, which the Lodgers Tax has invested in, and so I always like to include that on the report within the Visit widget app. And I can never figure out how to turn that thing sideways. As soon as I turn it sideways, it crops it out, so I just leave it that way. But that one is down when you compare it to 2019. But if you actually just look at it, you can see people are using that when they're here planning their trips. So it is being utilized to plan trips. Overall, it had 80,000 page views with 12,000 users for the quarter. So it's encouraging that, and that's just the app. That doesn't actually count the widget on the website. So that thing's getting quite a bit of usage, and we'll continue to push that as a platform that can be utilized. And I've already spoke with a couple of the event organizers about, hey, this is a good way to help people plan their trip when they're coming out here. This is a good way to help your vendors and help us promote this. And we've also talked with Samantha about putting up QR codes across town in Midtown to help people be able to download the app and start promoting the app as a useful tool. So I will stand for any questions if you have any questions, but I wanted to get through that quickly so we could get on to the budget stuff. Okay.
Do you want to go ahead? I'll turn it over to you totally now.
Okay. Okay.
Let you go.
So we're going to get into the special event budget requests. I do have the actual breakdown for what each request looks like. And these are kind of dispersed, but once we hit someone, if you have multiple requests, we'll go ahead and go in order. Hey, Seth, is Seth Bush on the phone by chance? I know that he had a tight window today.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Seth, you want to go ahead and go first?
I would love to go first if you don't mind.
I'd love it, brother. Go for it.
All right, let me turn my video on.
Okay.
So you can see my shining face. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, I know it's been a little while, right?
Been a while.
So we're excited to be back, and we're excited to be coming back to Rio Dosa. I've submitted my proposal. The goal for 12 Hours in the Wild West and the event is to really expand it into a full weekend of activities. So our plans for 2020 were to do an in-town event in Midtown, and I'd worked with Justin on creating kind of a course through there. We also were going to expand and offer a 40-mile race that included the Cedar Creek trails to be able to highlight those to folks. And then we were going to do more of a downhill style enduro event that basically timed descents in the Grindstone area to really be able to provide all different types of events for mountain bikers and the different types of mountain bikers that exist. And so our goal was to, really move from just it being like a Saturday event where people kind of come into town, they do the race, they might stay a night or two and head home, but to give them an opportunity to really expand the event and make it a full weekend of festivities. So that is our goal, and that is our goal for 2021. One big change is we are going to we decided to keep the October date instead of the April date. And I did that mainly because I wasn't sure where we would be at with COVID in April of 2021. It seemed to get very positive traction from racers and riders. Everyone was excited about the possibility of doing it in October. So we kept it on both for making sure that we could actually hold the race, hopefully, and just the feedback that we received from riders. Mentioning earlier, talking about the growth of the Phoenix market and the Arizona market, that is a huge draw for us. One of our major races, our largest race of all, is in the Phoenix area, where we have over 800 racers come out to race with us every year. And, we have an entire Facebook page dedicated just to that event. So we certainly are primed to help expose Rio Dosa to the Arizona market. And I think that's been a big driver for us year over year. If you look at our events, we're actually now seeing more folks coming from Arizona than New Mexico in some instances for some of our races, because the mountain biking scene there is just huge. So if you're looking at where we're drawing from, we draw primarily from the Southwest, but we expand, and we'll have folks coming from really all over the country at this point. But, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona are our bread and butter. And then, a smattering from some of the other Western states, California, Utah, et cetera. So we're excited to be doing it again. We're excited to have your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm sorry that I have a limited time. Due to COVID, I had to change some career path decisions. So I have a meeting at 9 a.m. that I cannot miss. So I appreciate you all allowing me to come and talk to you first. So any questions for me?
And I'll just go ahead and do the rundown really quick. So the event is going to take 10/16/21. I have provided a spreadsheet that you guys can link over to look at, but 10/16/21, the request is $5,000. Estimated number of attendees would be 500, which lodger's tax cost per person comes out to about $10. We do have a total of $40,000 budgeted for this. There may be, given the amount of money that we're going to be bringing in, there may be some room to help some of these special event organizers. So we might be able to bump that $40,000 total up a little bit. But Seth, in the past, FY19, Seth, you were funded FY19. You were funded 2,500. Does that sound correct?
I think that was correct. Yeah, that was. The reason for asking for more is because really we want to expand the offerings, and that's going to take some efforts, especially through social media to get the word out about what we're doing. There's different kind of core groups of riders. And so we want to make sure that, we're not just getting sort of the cross-country endurance folks, but we're also getting those folks that are interested in putting on the full face face helmets and pads and things like that, and coming to Rio Dosa and checking out the downhill course at Cedar Creek and doing some of the really great downhill riding that, you have available.
Well, this is...
My thoughts were I'd love a little bit more funding to help me grow this event and be able to offer, different opportunities for different types of riders. With Seth, I've seen his marketing and advertising does a great job. And one thing I will say is, the conversations that he and I have had a lot is like, how do we take the Iron Horse concept that Durango has and how do we implement something like that, but that's our own here. And I think that he's very motivated to do something like that. And he has these big ideas that he and I have discussed. So I'm excited about the event. I think it's definitely, worthwhile endeavor, and very, very, very pumped that you're going to be coming back, man. It was a bummer that we didn't get to have you last year or even this April. So we tried. Yeah. And, I think the other thing too is, you're investing resources in trails. With Moon Mountain, plans for Moon Mountain, coming to fruition, like I want to get people on those trails. I want to get people riding. And the amazing thing about Rio Dosa is that you can ride, if you're staying in town or you're staying at the campground or whatever, you can ride right from town to all of your trails. And there's not very many places, that you can do that. So as you expand the trail offerings, like I want to get tires on those trails. Like that is my goal.
Well, and I still encourage you to consider the crit in this implementation. I think it would be something that we could probably work out with Parks and Rec and Police Department and everyone else. But I think that would be a great way to have some of the general public that maybe hasn't seen the trails get involved and be inspired by what you guys do. So I would encourage that. And if it's not this year, then in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I just don't know where we're going to be at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I don't want to bring the ire of the
heavy hand of the law upon you. Yeah.
So, it's really just going to depend. I'd love to do it. I think it's a really fun idea and it's a really fun concept, but I just don't know where COVID's going to be at that point.
Sure.
I think we'll still be dealing with it to some extent. It's just a matter of how flexible things will be come October. And I think if we can do it, you have to realize people will already be signed up. So if we can do it, even if we decide in like September that we're going to do it, we'll have those folks already registered for other events that we can say, hey, we're doing this. Come sign up. And there's this other offering that'll be kind of built around a Friday evening festivities. So I think we should figure out the plan and then maybe wait on deciding if we're going to actually pull the trigger and do it.
Sounds good. Does the board have any questions for Seth? I know he's got a time crunch and we also do. Is anything? Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, we appreciate you. I'll let you know what the funding award is.
Sounds good.
Likely in the next day or so. Okay.
I appreciate it. And Justin, thanks for letting me go first. I got to hop over to another thing. So thank you all and good luck to my fellow applicants. So thanks everybody.
Thanks, Seth. Okay, so we can just go from the top of the list then. Miss Rhonda Vincent, one of my favorite people.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Talk to me.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, committee members. It's so nice to be able to see you, which I wish I could see you better. I just see little people in the back of the room. So I hope that you all can see me. It's a pleasure to be here again this morning. And I just have to say we're very excited that our numbers are low enough. We are getting better through this pandemic, that we are able to move forward and have our fundraising event for Anime Ridoso. At least that is on the calendar. It is our plan. Of course, we are making contingencies in case something goes wrong, which hopefully it does not. We are moving forward. We're very excited about that. We did not get to host our event in 2020, as most everyone here on this call did not get to do their proposed events for our community. So we're very excited. I'm very thankful, though. I just want to say, not only to this committee, but the community, as well as my foundation board, who support us so much with the Anime Ridoso and the vision and the mission we have to help our community and our students grow. So with that said, we are going to host our Aim High event this year, June 26th. At the end of the Mountain Gods. We've moved back there for a couple of reasons, simply because where we had hosted it the last 2 years was on a private ranch. So we're going to move back to where we can have the shoot, where it's available, so that people can come in and we can hopefully get more of those heads in the beds that we always talk about. Of course, I am asking for $5,000 this year simply because I want to push, and I want to push hard to get people back into our community, not only to enjoy the beautiful mountains, but also to raise funds for Anime Ridoso. That is what my job is to do. And I have already started with my major promotions. We have 3 billboards going up, Roswell, Artesia, Hobbs area, all the oil field workers. I'm hoping after today's meeting, I can push forward to go to Amarillo, Midland area. That's where most shooters San Angelo are coming from. I have had an outstanding response so far to people who have shot with us in the past and for newcomers. And so I'm very excited about that. I think it will be good. Of course, we want everyone to travel safely, come to our community safely, and promote social distancing. I've worked with the Mountain Gods closely over the last few weeks in our promotional, letting them know exactly what the Mountain Gods is requiring, and not only with our state, because a lot of people who do come in are coming out of state. So I just want to encourage everyone that we're open. We're coming back. We want to help students, and that's really the bottom line here. We want to raise funding for students, for adults, for traditional students who are just graduating high school. We want to make sure that I personally want to help students, especially adults who are going back in their careers and later in life to better themselves and their families, and not go into debt in order to do that. And so I want to raise funds to help these people get through their education so that they can start with a better life for themselves and their families. And so I hope you all would agree with that that's what I'm doing. I'm raising money for that. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions. I want you to know we were on a huge roll. Our momentum was so strong with our 4-year tenure of having Aim High. Last year would have been our 5th year, and then it stopped. And so I really feel like my push is going to be, I want to make it a heavy push simply because I want to get that momentum going back again. Having these people come back into our community, not only to support Ridoso and our businesses, but to also support Anime Ridoso. So does anyone have any questions for me?
And this event, just to clarify, you're actually going to be doing 2 requests. One is for the current fiscal, and then one is for next year as well. So you're looking at, when is the event date?
This year it is June 26th, and we normally try to host the event the last Saturday of June. That's kind of where our lull time is. If we have a lull time, I know our Rio Dosa racetrack will be opening again this summer. So I'm thinking that we just hosted it in June simply because it is an outdoor event, and we all know that hopefully our monsoon season starts in July. And so we try to stick where we can be outside and not get rained upon.
Judy, with the event falling that late, is it gonna fall into fiscal, because the request will come in and be processed technically in July? Would that fall into FY '22, or would it still come out of the FY '21 budget since the event took place in FY '21?
Well, I was assuming that all the advertising would be done prior to the event, so the invoices and first to mid-June, which would be in fiscal 2021.
So as long as we got everything in submitted prior to that July timeframe, the reimbursement request, okay. So basically what we're looking at is gonna be the funding for this fiscal, which we do have money in there to fund. And then we're also looking at funding for next June, so June 2022 as well. So that looks good. It's a great event. I mean, it supports a great cause, and I feel like we should be good. It comes out, so projected number of attendees, we have 600. Projected number of attendees, and a lodger's tax cost per person breakdown comes down to $8.33 per person is what we'd be subsidizing. Ms. Vincent, did you hear
Yes.
Is this for scholarship funds? Is that what that goes towards?
This goes into our unrestricted account, which, yes, it does go towards scholarship funding. We have a back to you scholarship that we give back to the students. We supplement that form. We also do many different things with our unrestricted funding. And I'll tell you, like last summer, we were not able to have, last spring, our graduation ceremony. And so the foundation stepped up and we sent out gift cards to every college graduate because they were not able to actually have their families there, their ceremonies there. And so we're actually going to do that again this year. We're going to be spending over $4,000, I believe, in a gift to our graduates. We want to congratulate them. And these feats that they take on, and you all know this mostly, when you go to college and if you have families, you have children, it's hard. And so we want to reward them for their hard work. And so that funding goes into an unrestricted account that the foundation board actually gives guidance to of where that money is spent. And like I said, yes, those students are rewarded with this money through some scholarships, but I want you to be aware that it is other funding, and it's other funding such as this is great for our students.
Is it all of Lincoln County or just Rio Dosa? Can you hear me?
What is that?
Is it all of Lincoln County students or just Rio Dosa students?
It's any student who is an ENMU Rio Dosa student,
Oh, ENMU,
regardless
okay.
of.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Yes, you're welcome.
that's all. Thanks.
Good. Awesome. We'll let you know about the award. I'll get with you within the next couple of days and let you know, okay? Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all very, very much, and I hope you have a great week.
You too. Mr. Frederick Moras, are you on the call? Yeah. Oh, Frederick, are you on the call? Okay, we can hop to someone else. The representatives from the Alto Artist Tour. Let me see what Miss. Okay. Do we have Linda on the phone?
Linda is here, and I am coming from the art world. I'm representing the Alto Artist Studio Tour, and I believe Sally Wimberly sent in a request for $2,000. Our tour takes place the first weekend in August, and it's generally the last art event before school starts, so we're hoping to keep the people interested in art here following the one that the chamber does every year. This year we'll have 21 artists, 6 of them are new. One of them is a very renowned artist from El Paso, Paul Maxwell. And every year we do a survey and track where our attendees are from. We generally have a attendance of about 400 people. And that doesn't count the preview party at the Spencer, which generally runs between 200 and 300 people. The Spencer party is obviously still up in the air. but we think we can do the tour safely because generally there aren't over 20 or 30 people in a house or a studio at one time. One of the things we do every year is we send the past attendees a postcard early in the year to kind of a save the date, just to let them know that it is taking place and when it'll be going on. One of our major advertising expenses is our brochures. In the past, we printed about 10,000, but this year we're planning on doing 12,000 because in 19 we ran out. And also we're wanting to make a really big push to let people know this is happening this year. We generally advertise in El Paso, Las Cruces, locally in the Vamanos, the Inc. We use radio advertising. We advertise all over West Texas, Lubbock, Midland, sometimes Amarillo. We advertise in Roswell. We have a website, and we also have a Facebook advertising for the social media. So we'd just love to have the support and hopefully have the art world make a reappearance this year after things get going again. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any history, what we've funded in the past on my spreadsheet, so I'm not sure that you guys have requested from us in the past or if you've been awarded. But I do show the total request is 2,000. We've got projected number of attendees at 400 with $5 lodger's tax cost per person.
Okay.
And the event, I'm sure she said this, but just to reiterate, 8/6 through 8/8/2021.
Yes.
Awesome. Okie dokie. Well, we will let you know in the next couple days about the awards. We'll send out the notification so that everybody knows what kind of funding they're able to work with moving forward, okay?
Okay, that's great. Thanks for letting us present today.
Thanks, Linda.
You. Did Frederick respond? Okay. No sweat, no sweat. Okay. Deborah, we'll go ahead and knock out, it looks like we got you 4 in a row, so we can go ahead and knock out your request, starting with Aspen Fest Parade and Festival.
Okay, thank you. I do have 4, so I'll try to be quick. First one is the Aspen Fest Parade and Festival that always happens on the first weekend or the first Saturday of October. The parade is in the morning, and then immediately following the parade, we have the festival in Wingfield Park. At the festival, we have usually around 3,000 attendees. It's a family event, so we have families that come in. We only charge the adults. We do not charge for children at this event. We have somewhere around 40 vendors, including beer and wine vendors, as well as commercial vendors and food vendors. We also do jumping balloons for the kids. So let's see, we were asking for $1,500 for this, and we will be advertising mainly on Facebook, and I have started the Instagram back up, so we're going to try that as well. We try to target our audience. This one will probably be a little bit more local. Roswell, Las Cruces, Alamogordo, Albuquerque, and then as well as West Texas. But this is more of a local type event. So that's where we'll be doing the marketing for that. I don't know if you want to ask questions after each event or if you want to ask them all at the end.
And I'll just go through the breakdown really quick for them. So the event 10/2/21, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in the past, FY19, we're funded $1,500. So you did the same request, a $1,500 request this time. Projected number of attendees 3,000 with a lodger's tax cost per person of 50 cents. It is important to keep in mind any of the funding that is awarded, it is highly encouraged that to be spent outside of a 50-mile radius of Rio Dosa, which you did mention. Everything sounds fine. Just keep that in mind if there is an award.
Okay.
Okay.
And then next we have the Festival of Lights Parade and the after party at Wingfield Park. That parade is the first Saturday of December, December 4th this year. It's of course, the light parade. That one we have more of a local festival as well, with attendees coming from some of the closer, Roswell, probably Alamogordo, Las Cruces. This one, of course, is just the after party is just something that the chamber does for the community. We do not charge for that event. In the past, we've had food, hot chocolate, marshmallows. Parks and Rec works with us really well on that one, and they do the fire pits. We have marshmallow roasting. We've done the movie in the past. I think last year, was it Elf? Maybe or not last year, but the year before was Elf, and then we did now I can't think of the name of it, the Jimmy Stewart movie. It's a Wonderful Life. So that one, just a thing that the chamber does to give back to the community, as well as the parade with the local floats there in the parade. And hopefully by October and December, we will be back to where we can start doing parades again.
With a sound system, hopefully. Send
you
an
go.
email to your counselors today. Okay, so in the past, you've been funded $500 for this event. The request is $750, and with the projected attendees of 3,000, that gives us 25 cents per person. 12,421.
Right.
Okay, cool. I got it right. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, Vines in the Pines, that is our wine festival. We are going to do that next year, February 19th and 20th. That is President's Day weekend. So it will be a 3-day weekend for most people. We're really hoping that will encourage them to come Friday night, spend the whole weekend, go home on Saturday, or not Saturday, Monday, sorry. That one is at the Convention Center. We usually have somewhere around 15 New Mexico wineries, as well as a few of our local breweries. We do this in conjunction with the New Mexico wine growers, as well as the wineries and breweries. We do have commercial vendors and food vendors. This brings a lot of people in from El Paso, Las Cruces, West Texas as well. It's a very well attended event, and I think with it being on President's Day weekend, it's even going to be a more attended event. So we wanted to make sure we get the advertising out. I think in the past we just have not advertised as much as we perhaps should have. So I'm really going to be pushing the social media advertising on that. We like to target our booths to West Texas, as well as Albuquerque and Las Cruces. So that one again is President's Day weekend of 2022, February 19th and 20th.
Okay, and it looks like in the past you've been funded $2,000 for that. So you did the same request. Projected attendees 2,000 at $1 per person.
And then that brings us to our Rio Dosa Art Festival. This year will be our 50th anniversary. So we're really excited about really promoting the 50th anniversary. Dates for this one are July 30th, 31st, and August 1st at the Convention Center. So we're really hoping by July we are able to bump up our admission totals to at least the 33%. I think 33%, like we were discussing before, for a large entertainment venue would be doable. We would have to be keeping track of the attendees at the door. so far, we start this process in January. So our application opened in January. It closed earlier this month. We've had just right at 170 artists apply. Most of the artists are saying that this is the first show they have applied for since early last year. So I think it's going to be a very well attended event. We will be advertising once again, mainly on social media with our targeted posts. West Texas is a huge draw for us for this. We get the majority of our visitors come from West Texas, and they come with a lot of money. People, it always amazes me how much money they do come with for this event. So they're not only spending at the convention center for the Art Fest, but they're shopping other places. They are going out to eat, you know, staying in our lodging facilities. So this one, we have bumped up the request a little bit just because it is our 50th, and we really do want to promote the 50th anniversary of the Art Festival. In the unfortunate event that we can't have it in July, maybe our numbers are still up a little bit too high. We do have an alternate date reserved for the convention center, and that is October 29th, 30th, and the 31st. So hopefully if for some reason we cannot have it in July, we will be able to go ahead and have this at the end of October.
Yeah. So it looks like in the past you were funded FY19, for example, you're funded $2,000 for this event. The request is $5,000. Projected attendees would be $5,000 at $1 lodger's tax cost per person of $1 per person. So,
yeah. Oh, and we do. I forgot about Arizona, but we do target Tucson, Phoenix, a lot of the Arizona communities as well.
That's great. Keep building the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions for Deborah? Comments, suggestions? Awesome.
We're excited to have you guys back and busy. I'm sure you are.
We are too. Yes.
It's crazy to be talking about events again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome, Deb.
Hey, thank you, Deborah.
We'll get with you and let you know, okay?
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We've got Seth knocked out already. It looks like Matt has 4 requests. Matt, would you like to knock out your request now?
Yeah, if that works for the board, I'll go ahead and begin. If I could do a screen share from a presentation as well.
Yep, you should be able to do that.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. See that all right?
Yes, we can see it.
I guess it's the morning, but it just seems like it's the afternoon. Well, good. My name is Matt Ingram. I'm the director of the Rio Dosa Midtown Association, a 501c3 local nonprofit. Just want to jump in and thank you all for the opportunity to present today and come in front of you. Excited for 2021 and 2022 year to hopefully kick off some of these special events. Again, real quick, just a quick background. My organization does focus on special events, physical improvement projects, business development efforts, as well as organization and organizational capacity efforts for our organization in the Midtown district there. We were accredited as a Main Street district back in 2017, so we're excited to kick off another year as a Main Street community here. The first application I submitted was for our Mountain Smoke Festival. It's a barbecue festival. It will take a little bit of a restructure after the first year in 2019. It will not be a sanctioned KCBS event, but it will be more of a regional barbecue competition where we'll host a similar format with prize package for the best barbecue for a people's choice. And that will definitely be supported by beer, wine, and music and local vendors. Let's see here. Just to kind of go back on some of our Facebook analytics over the 2019, we were able to really do a lot of creative video content utilizing Yeti out of all things. And so we were able to really creatively promote the event and leverage kind of some of those funds that we did use from lodger's tax in 2019. So you can see a lot of the same markets that we're going after, that El Paso, Roswell, that West Texas corridor as well. You can see that the event really does draw a lot more younger demographics, so that 25 to 44 year-old range. I do have to think that those analytics are skewed with just the usage of social media by a younger demographic, but still shows that we are catering to a younger generation and getting younger people into the district and into Rio Dosa. So just kind of some basic ad spent. We did reach over 50,000 people on our video ads that we ran in 2019. Had a lot of engagement there. You can kind of read through some of those. We do have a website for the festival. It's mountainsmokefestival.com, which has already been developed. We just have to manage and maintain it and change the dates for the event. Again, we'll just kind of local community partners, work with lodging establishments, love to do with all of our events, the after parties. So this would be held in Wingfield Park for 2 days. We would like to work with our local drinking and music establishments in the district to host and try to keep the people after the festival within the district there. So again, just kind of a quick breakdown of our budget, what we spend. Radio is going to be a very small budget for what we do. Internet's going to be our primary go-to, printing as well. So we look forward to throwing Mountain Smoke Festival. I think it's a very creative event. It really draws people out into the district. We do have several dates chosen just as a kind of a backup for the event. I know that we had wrote in the application to take place March 19th through the 20th. We also have a tentative date set. If that does not work in 2022, we would look, if we could do it sooner, we'd like to maybe do it in this August, would be a potential for us to do. So the second week in August. But the problem that we're facing is the 150 people mass gatherings. However, these are outdoor events, so 33% capacity. We look forward to working with everybody to see how big we can get these events and still do them in a safe manner. So I guess at this juncture, I'll stand for any questions on the Mountain Smoke Barbecue Festival.
Just so the board's aware, I do have, he had a funding request in FY19 of $5,000 and was fully funded at $5,000. His current request is $5,000 with projected attendees of $3,000, which gives $1.67 per attendee.
Okay, good. Okay, good deal. I'll go into Rio Dosa. This is probably one of my most favorite ones here. Looking at kicking this baby off June 18th and 19th of 2022. So that would still keep us within fiscal. We did determine this year that it was just kind of tricky to throw a large scale beer festival this early on. Again, we just went into turquoise. I have talked with Justin a number of times at trying to do a phased event where we can do a specific hours like the Great American Beer Festival, where we could try to run more patrons through. However, traditionally this event was very successful with over 3,500 people. So we're very reluctant to throw it where we could only have 150 people at it. So we will be looking at hosting this event June 18th through the 19th. And again, incorporate a bunch of beer and wine from the local area as well as across the state. I believe last year we had over 18 beer and wine vendors there, and that was in 2019. So we're definitely anxious to kind of get this guy kicked off. This was really the platform we kind of learned to do a lot of the special events with the creative marketing tactics that we were using with video. Again, just kind of a general run through a lot of these numbers that we were able to reach in 2019. I think that we could really easily match for this year. I know that Rio Dosa in 2019 had over like 2 million views. So it was a very creative project for us. You know, we had a lot of impressions. I think we had 913,000 impressions. So a cool community event. Again, that's one that typically was partnered when Snoop Dogg was here and the Two Wheels and Tattoo event was here. If I could say anything, I did feel that it brought a lot of people in town to have some coordinated effort in between some of these events. So again, if Ruidoso does fall on any of these high trafficked other special events, we'd love to work with those event coordinators and promote some cross promotion type of things there.
Hey, Matt. What would you attribute the high percentage from Wheeler, Texas? That's a tiny town up in the Panhandle.
And then, you know, if you looked at the same on, especially even with our market for, let's see, I'll show you here.
Yeah, I noticed it was on the other one too. It was kind of funny. I was just wondering.
And I don't know if that was in a direct targeted market campaign that we did. A lot of the times I'll focus some of those efforts on that West Texas corridor. You know, and so that's probably where it comes down to. And then another thing is I think that we do, you know, like we build a lot of audiences based off of emails that we have captured. And that's probably, you know, there's probably a lot of people from that portion of Texas over there.
No, I was just laughing because you've got El Paso, Roswell, and then Wheeler, I think I looked it up, 1,300 people. So we're huge in Wheeler.
Tim Dodge says it's Tia Rosa, so Tia Rosa's telling everybody to come to
the
Rio.
telephone company.
Yeah. So
anyway, sorry, continue. I was just kind of laughing about that.
You're good, man. You're good. We developed a website. Again, these are important platforms for us to get vendor information, get all of our information over to our alcohol vendors as well as sell tickets. So, you know, Ruidoso, it's just another one of those keepsake community events that we look forward to kind of kicking off. Again, you know, just kind of a standard budget where we are spending the majority of the funds there on internet, printing, and other. We will utilize some radio efforts for the event. However, it's going to be a big Facebook push and try to get conversions to our website. Typically, our website will host about 400 to 500 pre-sale tickets. You know, at $20 a ticket, you know, that's a pretty good income for us. And then at the gate is really going to be our big day. So a lot of kind of guerrilla marketing that goes on during the day to get people up there. And then again, the after parties after the event ends at 6 or 7 o'clock, a promotion for all of our patrons to go into Midtown and visit all the stores and shops down there. And I'll stand for questions on Ruidoso.
previous funding on this event in FY19 was $4,000. Your current request is of $5,000, projected attendees 4,000 with the $1.25. I am being told that the 33% does not apply to these gatherings, that it is currently still under the public health order, 150 people. So we need to keep all this in consideration when we're looking at this to see where it's at. So for the board's purposes, I would just say we've got to keep an open mind on event dates for obvious reasons, but it's super important for us to help fund these events so they can get them up and going when it's practical. Matt, I do think it's important for you, you had just said you're a nonprofit, but, for people that may not know, maybe just give a real quick, pretty brief, but quick rundown of how you guys utilize the funds and why you host the events to begin with.
Yeah, sure. Just the nonprofit's aim and fundraising is to reinvest those funds back in the district. The Main Street approach is based off of four points. So we have organization, design, economic vitality, and promotions. Our special events have been a big fundraiser source for us. So, for instance, we take Ruidoso funding and reinvest it into our mural programs, bathroom projects, cleanups, kiosk project. Just anything that we find fit or the board finds fits to reallocate those funds back into the district. Just our recent big upgrade was over a $20,000 update to the Midtown bathrooms. So that's where a majority of these funds are going from these special events are directly back into our Main Street district for physical improvement projects. and other manners, some operational funds for the organization. But we reinvest close to 80% of what we bring in back into the district.
Thank you, Matt. All right, do you want to get into golf scramble next or haunted house?
Yep. Cool. So, we've come up with these ideas of how do we throw an event that's under 150 people. And so as part of our fundraising strategy, we decided to try to do something a little bit different than our standard beer and wine festival. So the idea came up to incorporate a golf scramble into our fundraising strategy. One thing that we're looking at doing is working with local courses to identify really the best times to host a golf scramble and for it to work better. We want to establish a corporate sponsorship for the event. And so we're really not too concerned on making a bunch of money off of the players. We're more concerned about making sure that the golf course isn't out money, that they would still make their money that they would on the day, if not more. And then we can use, as the organization, utilize those corporate sponsors for our fundraising campaign or strategy within the event. We want to establish like after parties to stimulate local businesses in the district. There will be contest, raffle, and prizes. That will also kind of expand our donation list and what we do. And then I really want to get local businesses participating. We can have them sponsor holes, participate in the actual golf scramble to some sort of capacity, work with local artists. One thing that I really want to work with community nonprofits to have them host holes and be an opportunity for them to do some fundraising. I know that I've reached out to the Humane Society and a couple other ones about potential partnerships in there. We just want to kick something new and creative off, but something that will bring a benefit to the region here. Again, the main thing here is for us is kind of create a new and creative fundraising tool that we can use, and then it's not it doesn't rely on 4,000 people coming through. Again, this golf scramble would happen during the shoulder weekend and would really, again, have to work with the courses to identify that best weekend. We're thinking of it happening sometime between September and October. And then again, just hopefully a draw and a reason to bring people in. Based off the math that we've done, we can have about 144 people on a golf course at a time. That's 4 people per a golf scramble shotgun start. And we would like to do either a 2-day event, or we would like to do a morning flight and a evening flight or an afternoon flight. So we'd be looking at right around 288 event guests per day. Now, really what we want to work with, and depending on the stipulations that we have, is we'd really like to include beer, wine, and music inside this event. And we're currently working on some of those logistics with some of the local golf courses from around here. But again, it would just be a big cash prize event to try to draw golfers from around the area. Again, kind of the same base package that we use for a majority of our events, a high amount of our spend on internet, printing, a little bit of radio spend there, just to kind of maybe we could get some of these more regional, East New Mexico radio stations to showcase this event. So we are applying for $4,000 on this event, and would stand for any questions.
I'll give the breakdown. This event's never occurred before. I have talked to Matt quite a bit about this. I know you've worked with Elliot Taylor as well, but just because he does a lot of golfing and stuff. But it's creative. It's something that you could literally probably host right now if you could find the golf course to do it, which I like. Because that's the hardest part about being you guys in your shoes as event organizers, is this 150 rule. So it's a really creative way to be able to host an event and try to do a fundraiser. The current breakdown request is 4,288 projected attendees for a total cost of $1,389 per person.
And I know you guys see my little graphic there of a tennis ball golf tournament at Wingfield Park. Don't take my ideas, but I'm going to put something together creative one day.
So, hey, Matt, I just had a question that popped up. How much do you think that you're going to be able to raise on this event? Just curious.
Really, Justin, I think if it's kind of a break even, if operational and we were able to break even on the event, I think it would be good. And then I think that if we were able to go after, have like 5 to 10 corporate sponsors from anywhere from $500 to $1,000, that, the organization itself then would look at, pocketing anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 over a 2-day event.
Cool.
It looks good on paper. However, it's always different. I really feel like we could get the people to show up, fill up a golf course, make something very fun, again, stimulate some after tournament activity and spend, and just try to come up with a creative way to get people out and about.
Cool.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just confirmed what Deborah talked about earlier. I just got a hold of the governor's office and they said that the Chamber of Commerce can, or the convention center can go to 33% turquoise. Have events up to 585 people in the convention center.
Good deal.
That's great.
That's great.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Well, that's good news for all us event throwers right there, especially if Wingfield Park has an outdoor. It could be at a 33% capacity at 580 people. Again, reiterating what Justin says, if you were able to phase it out for a couple hours each day, you can easily run thousands of people through there. So I think that us event organizers have our hands full. And again, everyone listening, like we're the ones that need to establish and be like kind of a community role models in throwing these special events and doing them safe. So
I just think being creative too. It's just changing the approach, being creative, trying to play within the rules, but still being able to raise money.
Okay, cool. I'm going to keep going on because we got one of my most favorite events that I really look at kicking off this year, which would be the Rio Dosa Midtown Haunted House, Pumpkin Roll, and Trick or Treat event that we would like to get operational this year. Again, I've reached out, would like to think that we would do the exact same thing that we did in 2020 and 2019. Work with the Rio Dosa Valley Chamber of Commerce, the No-Gal Volunteer Fire Department, Rio Dosa Parks and Recreation, and local businesses, all as community partners to establish a Rio Dosa Midtown Halloween week. I've talked with Jasmine at the Parks and Rec, and they have a bunch of fun events planned for Halloween. My organization specifically would be looking at hosting a haunted house like we did in 2019. We would partner with the No-Gal Volunteer Fire Department to do that. I know that in 2019, we had over 400 hours of volunteer time spent at that haunted house and making people scream and cry. It was awesome. I know that with this, there's a fundraising opportunity that comes with it. Our organization last year was able to raise over $4,000 from the haunted house, and we were able to split that profit with the No-Gal Volunteer Fire Department and then pay for the pumpkin roll as well. This is a big regional draw for everybody. Mescalero, Tularosa, I feel like a lot of people do come up here. It is a community feel good. Just on assessment and what I had talked with, a number of people, we had figured that there was close to 3,500 people in Midtown in 2019. I think that's a very tough and analytic to track, but it is also something that we would strive to do and think that it's a year after year event. Again, we would like to close down the streets, utilize local businesses in a trunk or treat program like the Chamber had ran last year to help facilitate the traffic flow and not utilize so much of our police force. Then again, closing down the roads for a safe pedestrian environment for our youth during Halloween. Again, just kind of a general breakdown. We haven't applied for funding. Again, I really feel like this funding would be beneficial to all the organizations that would be a part of it, and would like to just kind of take it on myself and get everything anything that we need printed, or any of our promotions or any of that stuff we can use the funds for. So again, the actual date for Halloween is Wednesday, which is typically when the kids get out, which would be October 27th. We would like to run our haunted house for the duration of that weekend. And then that would also be in coordinated efforts with Rio Dosa Parks and Rec activities that they have planned. And I don't know if that's general knowledge right now, but that would be in coordination with them as well.
And I have total request of 5,000. So with 1,500 projected attendees, that's $3.33 per attendee.
Cool. That's the last one I have until we jump into the next agenda item.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you. Did you get Frederick?
I'm trying.
Okay. Let's see. Crystal is it Cifuentes or Cisfuentes?
Cifuentes.
Cifuentes. I think I've been having a tendency to put an S in there. Cisfuentes. So Cifuentes. All-American Cowboy Festival, reimagined.
Okay, so the All-American Cowboy Fest is put on by the All-American Rio Dosa Downs Foundation. It's a nonprofit that provides scholarships for students that are either in or working in or have parents that are working in the horse racing industry. The event has a 30-year history. It used to be the the Lincoln County Cowboy Symposium. We're trying to get in some different demographics, so we are rebranding the event. We have added a rough stock rodeo. We also will have the Miss Rodeo New Mexico pageant. We have quite a few entertainers coming in. We also will have an education section, and we bus in children from the surrounding communities and have little education projects here that they can go and see. We haven't exactly decided which ones those are going to be this year, but we always do something fun for them. We have increased the amount of vendor spaces that we have in our tent, so that will be a big draw. We usually have about 10,000 people come. This is an event that takes place from Thursday till Sunday. We advertise on social media, radio, print, in Texas and New Mexico. There's a chuck wagon cook-off that draws a lot of people to come see them cook and to eat their food. Is there any questions?
So I'll go ahead and give the breakdown. In the past, you have been awarded, pardon me, looks like FY19 kind of historically been awarded about $2,500. FY22, you guys have really reimagined the event while maintaining the integrity of the cook-off and the chuck wagons and all that stuff. So our total looks like it comes in. You're projecting about 10,000 people to attend, so we've got a $5,000 request, so 50 cents per person. I know I've been on a couple of meetings where I've been allowed to sit down and just hear some of the ideas that you guys have talked about. Jeff has had several of us in on the meetings, and I think it's a great idea, rebranding it and kind of reimagining the event while maintaining the integrity of what the symposium was initially. So it's pretty exciting. And I know if I'm not mistaken, and you might have touched on this and might have missed it when I was reading, but you've hired a couple of pretty good musicians as well, if I'm not mistaken, right, out of Texas?
Yes, and I know we have Aaron Watson, Colby Carter, Dave Alexander, Jake Hooker. Oh, there's one I'm missing.
Kevin Fowler.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Can you also just tell us what a rough stock rodeo is? I don't actually know what that means.
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, I don't know.
No worries. I was just curious. I know Jeff mentioned it one day in the meeting and I couldn't remember what he said.
Carrie, do you know? I know there's like a
They all look pretty rough to me.
what is it called? Oh, I can't think of it.
They do saddle bronc riding, bull riding. It's a rodeo, but with no roping events.
Okay. I also think it's important to mention to the board, just so they're aware, this has been considered a legacy event for the New Mexico Tourism Department. And Carrie and Crystal might be able to add some to this, but they've provided quite a bit of support because they consider this event so important to the community and such a strong legacy event for the state of New Mexico that they're also going to be providing logistical and marketing support. Is that correct, Carrie?
Yes, it is. They have brought in Leo Events out of Nashville, and Leo Events is providing a lot of support to the racetrack and the foundation in helping with like ticketing, tiered ticketing prices, and how to go about the rebrand and everything of this event. And so I think it's really going to lend to how this event is able to roll out. And I think it speaks a lot. Out of like 127 events in New Mexico, the tourism department picked, I believe it was 13, right, Justin, that they made this offer to.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
The All-American Cowboy Fest was one of them, one of the 13. And so I think that just demonstrates how they think that this event is one that can, still has tremendous growth opportunity even after all these years. So that's very exciting for the event.
And it's going to be great having the support of Leo Events just based on their pedigree, and what they're massive. They throw massive events. So I'm excited that the tourism department recognized the importance of this.
And you know what? It's true. I feel like, I've only been here not quite a year, but just paying attention to everything that's going on through this event, you can just see that it started out as I don't want to say small event because it's always kind of been a huge event, but kind of started out small with, Sunny starting this and managing it all on our own. And Leo Events is really going to take this to the next level and make it that really big, large event. I'm having vendors and people calling that are wanting to get in, and we're going to end up having to turn people away because, like vendors, because we just don't have room for all of them. But it's a huge event that people are very interested, like consumers and vendors and people like that.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Crystal. We'll be in touch in a couple of days with the award notification. But thank you for working on this event. I'm excited.
I have a quick question.
Oh, we do have a question.
Real quick. Are y'all going to still include the chuck wagon events? Because that was always a huge deal.
Yes, we're still going to have the chuck wagon event.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Is there any? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. All right. We did have another request come in, and Frederick Morris it doesn't sound like he's able to make the meeting, but this is the Rio Dosa Grindstone Trail Runs. It's an event. Is he on? Frederick, you on? Oh, I do see him. Oh, there's Lynn. Oh, that's Frederick. There he is. Frederick? Okay. Frederick, if you can you hear us? But this is, I'll kind of go over the gist of it in terms of what he attached, and if he hops in, it'd be cool, but if not, no worries. It's the Ski Apache Adaptive Sports Program. So, when I was at Ski Apache, it's such an amazing program that they offer up there to help anybody with any sort of a disability be able to go out and enjoy the snow. And it's just an amazing group of people that volunteer their time. This is one of the fundraisers for them. They are requesting $2,500 for the event, and it's the Rio Dosa Grindstone Trail Runs. They've done this event annually. Estimated number of attendance is 500. The only reason he's ever not been able to do the event is if they've just been horribly rained out. So that's the only issue he's ever ran into in the past. But all the funds do go to support a great cause. And I've attached the application if y'all want to go back and take a look. In the past, let me just pull him up. Here we go. He has been funded in FY19. He was funded $2,000. And it looks like his request this year was $2,500. So based on the estimates of update that. Based on the estimates, that puts us at $5 per person is what he's requesting. So, Frederick, I hope I did your event justice by representing you. He is suggesting he's going to have some print advertising, about $75, Facebook $500, internet $250, and then additional printing for T-shirts and stuff like that comes out to about $3,600. So his overall expenditures for marketing and advertising are a little over $4,000. He's planning on spending 99% of this funds on actual advertising for the event. So they do get people out of El Paso, Albuquerque. He uses a distribution list where they're blasting this out to. So they are reaching outside of the community. Okay. Cool. I guess that'll do it for the event requests. Is Judy still on the call? Yeah, can we take, let's go ahead and take a quick recess and then we'll come back to this. All right, we're back. Judy, are you on the call by chance? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to make the decisions right now on these special events, decide how we want to move forward, and then move into the next line item funding request?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that way we can make the
work.
adjustments to the budget.
Okay. I'd like to hear from each board member what you think about this, and then I'm happy to weigh in as necessary.
I'll just kind of start, we were kind of discussing this too, that some of the events that typically come up every year asking for funding are not included this year for whatever reason. However, coming off of last year where a lot of these events obviously did not take place, events are going to be struggling just a little bit, trying to get their footing back. I really don't have a problem this year of I guess fully funding each of these events. We don't have as many events as we've had in the past, and I think it's really important to kind of keep these, a lot of these, pretty much all of these are staples of our community. And a couple of new events, but I think that it's really important coming out of what happened in the previous year, that we're able to just get them going again, kind of show, I think this will help show that Rio Dosa's kind of back to business and, that sort of thing. And so, I'll defer to the other two as well, other two members.
People want events going on and people are ready to get out.
It's all good.
Thanks. Yeah, people are ready to get out. We need events going on. They're looking for things to do when they're here. Besides outdoor hiking, biking, they like the other events. I agree, Alan.
I want to see all these happen. A few of these, like the Wild West one, I want to see mountain biking really take off here. I think we've been working on this for a while. I'd like to see these generate more. I want to see that he's doing more to make this go farther. So the Midtown Haunted House, that was awesome when that happened. I liked seeing this in Midtown. I think that was a great event. People loved this. So all of these have great potential to go more. I think people just want to get out and see things happen, quit being home more. So yeah, I'm for all these. I think we should definitely move forward.
Yeah, and this is a good mix of kind of tourism-driven and local events. And obviously, we did not have parades last year. We didn't have anything really going on for locals. We didn't have anything going on for tourists. So, yeah, I don't have a...
So Judy, here's kind of where I'm at is when you tally up the total of the requests that were presented today, it's $47,750. I believe what you and I have in the line item just as a preliminary budget was $40,000. And I can pull that up just to verify. But one of the considerations, because what we discuss is like Fort Stanton Live, who traditionally applies, Jubilee, who traditionally applies, Oktoberfest, and the rallies traditionally apply. There were no applications put in for them, but also with the uncertainty of how events are going, if we do fully fund these, perhaps we could increase that line item for the special event funding request to, let's say, 60 or 65. And put that money in there so that we can fully fund these events and that we'll be able to trickle a fund events as they approach in future meetings when they feel comfortable. I don't know your opinion on that, but if that's a possibility and the board thinks that that's appropriate, that sounds like the way that we could potentially move forward.
No, that sounds perfectly fine with me.
Judy, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
To me, I was listening in on some of the presentations, and it sounds like you had some of your events that are this current fiscal year, and
just one, just one event. That was the ENMU Aim High. That was for the end of June. All of the rest are for fiscal year 2022.
Okay, and like Justin's talking, like I know that the bike rally is still planning for now in May. And Justin, you said that you only sent out emails. Do we do any other type of advertisement or promotion to let people know that these funds are available?
I sent out an email to anyone that's ever applied in the past, and then on our website is a standing special event application request form. So when I say our website, the Village of Rio Dosa municipal page has the standing application. So I did send out 2 separate emails regarding the special event funding request coming up. But I didn't hear back from the rally. Again, they could... With that, if they're doing their rally in May, because I did see that on their website, I wasn't certain if that was accurate or not. They could still get funding reimbursement for that if they came and asked us, for funding for that event. But that would fall in this fiscal, not next, not FY 2022, of course.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out that that one at least was this current fiscal year, so you might want to appropriate that now. All these requests are budget requests going in, and I would suggest that maybe you allocate a little bit more than the request that you have, and then put out a promotion letting other people know that this money may be available. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I think that's kind of our that was kind of our feeling and discussion too. Was that, obviously it's kind of a fluid situation right now, knowing how many people, if you can have events, how the events would look. And so, these are, like I said, these are staples of our community, a lot of these events. And I think it's important to do that, but I think it's also important that to leave money in that line item just for the fact that I know that there will be other events that say, hey, I think we can manage this year. Everything's looking better, and so I think it's important to have the ability to fund those as well, or have monies available.
If we put 65 in that line item, And the 5 events that I can really think of that always apply, that didn't apply, that would give them each $3,000 funding. So we would at least be able to help them to some degree if we spread it out. Now, I don't know if all 5 of them are going to apply or how that's going to work out. But if we put 65 in there, if that's realistic, then that would give us about 17K left over to help support these events. So a little bit more than 3,000 per event. So with those 5, and then any others that may pop up through the years. So Judy, is that something that's feasible and realistic?
Yes, and we could even talk about if we do get in a crunch and more events start coming out, we also have the cash balance that we could reappropriate because you have 2 years to use the proceeds.
Perfect.
And Justin, I know that Fort Stanton Live is one of those, and they have canceled for this year.
Okay, I was wondering, because that's what we were counting: Fort Stanton Live, Oktoberfest, Jubilee, the bike rallies. I think those were the ones we discussed when we were shocked we didn't see those applications come in. So that makes more sense why they canceled.
That May rally on their website and on Facebook, they said it's canceled.
Oh, they did
But
update.
Looks
Okay.
like they're still saying they're having their September.
Okay. Good to know.
Can I say something real quick about the Jubilee? I know they were meeting last week about the event, the greeters were. So and I have not heard what came out of their meeting last week, so I'll reach out to them, but it may have been that their meeting was just too late to get that information in before the deadline. So I will reach out to the greeters and have them definitely apply.
Yeah, and that's fine too, because as long as they make it to a meeting prior to their event taking place, that's an event that they would definitely, of course, be eligible for the funding requests.
I think it might also be important, maybe when you discuss this with each of these events, that this is not a precedent for the future. We will always certainly try to fully fund and do what we can. But just coming out of this year, it's very, very important to get everybody.
Yeah, Judy?
Why don't we just set that budget at 100,000 because you don't know what events might start, and then go from there, because I think you said the funding currently is at 47 plus the unknowns.
47,750 plus the unknowns.
And that could send it at 100,000. Be advertising in the community. Maybe more events will try to take place now that we're opening it up.
Sounds good.
I'm comfortable if you're comfortable. When you throw out numbers like that, I get real excited.
Rodney's over here smiling.
Or sweating because he doesn't know if he's going to get that money.
Not for Rodney.
Okay. So then I think that we're going to need a motion to approve $100,000 budget for special event budget requests, and we'll also need a motion to within that motion to fully fund each event request on the current agenda as requested.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Judy's recommendation, and I think it's important that we promote that the funding is available. That pretty much makes a statement that we're opening up and getting ready to get things done, so.
Agreed.
That sounds good. We'll put together a light advertising campaign to promote the accessibility of some of these funds so that we can get some more of that word out and really start encouraging folks to consider us for an event.
All right, with that said, do we have we'll do them two separate, I guess?
We could probably do it all in one lump sum.
To make them, was it motion to?
All right, I make a motion to approve the $100,000 budget request. And also, you want to do as one lump sum? And
Might as
also to
well,
approve the budget request on the current agenda, to approve each one.
Okay, obviously.
Second that.
Have a second. All of us are in favor.
And I don't get a vote, but it seems like it was unanimous. Okay, where are we at now?
Rio Dosa Visitor Center.
Rio Dosa Visitor Center, and this would be Miss Deborah Dowds.
Okay, I feel like saying it's me again, Margaret.
Reggie's on now, but it's all, I'm telling you.
So let's see, this is for the visitor center, and of course we have the two visitor centers, the budget for the Billy the Kid. This one, we have 2 employees. They're both part-time. One of them works 2 days a week. The other one works 4 days a week. And we will be open Monday through Saturday. In the past, we've done Wednesdays off and are open Monday through our open on Sundays. But this year we're going to change it to Monday through Saturday. I feel like just especially during the summer, the traffic is busier during the week as opposed to Sundays when people are really starting to head out of town. So that one we're requesting for the Billy the Kid this year, $54,300. And then the visitor center located at the Chamber. That one we will have 2 full-time employees, be open again Monday through Saturday. There's a big difference between the 2 visitor centers. The one out at the Billy the Kid, that's mainly just walk-ins. They don't have people calling in. They don't do any mail-outs. Whereas the visitor center at the Billy the Kid, they handle walk-ins. They handle tons of phone calls as well as mail requests. And then also we do the availability for our lodging on the busy weekends. So I think most of you guys know, but on our busy weekends, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and even spring break, we keep a record of who has availability. So most of our lodgers know that if they're full and they're still getting calls, they can direct the request to the Chamber and or to the visitor center, and we will let them know who has availability, who they can call. We try to keep pretty good records on who has openings for larger groups, who just has maybe just a small cabin that'll sleep 2 people or 4 people. So that one for the visitor center at the Chamber, we're requesting a total of $104,300, which what comes to a grand total of $158,600 for the 2 visitor centers.
Yeah, I'm showing 158,650.
Okay, we'll take the extra $50. Any questions from anybody?
I think we're good. Let's see, Justin, anything or?
So, are we operating the visitor center down at the Billy the Kid, or is that one? I can't remember. I'm so sorry.
That one's going to open up later on this month. We're still waiting on getting a few things. One of our employees, her husband just had surgery, so we wanted to give her a little bit of time for her husband to recover. And then I'm having some plexiglass barriers installed around the desk area just to keep the employees a little bit safer.
Okay. All right. I don't have any questions. Does the board have any questions? Okay.
I think so.
We can, Judy, do we need to go through these one at a time and approve them, or how do we want to do that?
You can do them all in one swift move.
Okay. I just text Chief Gold. He'll be here momentarily, so we can skip over him. Brochures, trade shows, and miscellaneous. I'll kind of go through the line by line breakdown. This is a reduction from what we've had, let's say FY19. So FY22, update that. There were a couple reductions. Trade shows, we reduced that just because who knows if we're going to have any of those? We might, but we went ahead and reduced that budget down to what it was in FY18, which is 3,500, which would cover. I mean, the one trade show that we were going to was the one in Dallas. It was the ski show, and because of last year, they've bellied up. So who knows if that's ever going to come back, but I did put a little bit of money in there. Brochure expenditures, we're going to have to get some brochures. So I've got a total of about $9,300 in there. So we need to reprint brochures, and we're going to need to reprint some trail maps. So that's going to be a part of that printing. And then the distribution companies that operate for us, Fun and Games and Southwest, which they actually distribute our brochures across the state. That's in that. Association memberships, I have no clue if Ski New Mexico is going to operate again. Membership wise, I budgeted them last year and they never ended up having anything. It's only $300, so there's not really too much in that line item. And then you've got New Mexico Hospitality Association as well. Miscellaneous, our kind of a bigger one for us is our MailChimp. That's about $200 a month. It's like $197, I think, is what it comes out to. That list is that's a good chunk of that. We've got our internet, not our internet, but it says Brown Rice Internet, but it's technically our hosting company for our webcam. I'm going to put that on the budget currently. There is some consideration that I might look at purchasing a one-time hardware that loads onto the actual camera itself, and then you can host that camera directly onto YouTube for no fee annually. That might be something that we'll look at doing, but initially I don't have any plans to immediately jump into that. The one reason why I would like to do that is because when you host it on YouTube, you host it on your YouTube channel, which then you still have the plugin on your website, but then if people are looking for Rio Dosa on YouTube, it could take them to our channel, which then feeds into what Kelly said. You start having a lot of these residual video hours where more eyeballs are getting on our products, and that would be one way that we could drive organic marketing search to our YouTube channel. So that's why I have considered that, because overall, Brown Rice Internet only costs us $450 per camera per year to operate, so it's not expensive, but that could be a savings of almost $1,000 per year and help with the organic marketing aspect. Let's see, the website domains, of course, all of our website stuff we do have to fund every year, so that's built into there as well. I did remove the photography component from this, so there's no money that we would be going out for photography. So it would be on a case-by-case basis where I'd approach Lodgers Tax to request the funding. Total cost, total budget came in as requested or as suggested by Judy at $20K for this, and I think that should be sufficient to support us. Question?
Good on that.
Okay. I'll just go on to the next one then. This is the big kahuna. So the marketing and advertising budget, let me pull up my spreadsheet as well. The marketing and advertising budget, we had in there a recommendation of 380. Now we're going to have to adjust some of this based on the special event funding request. And then I actually bumped up to 400. Now, Judy, when you said we have to spend money within the next 2 years, can you elaborate, please?
So the proceeds that are earned in fiscal year 2021 have to be spent by fiscal year 2023.
Okay.
So if you had budget savings on 1 year, after 1 year, you have an additional year availability to spend those funds without violating the statutes.
And in conjunction with that, we have to spend 40% on marketing and advertising, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And currently we spend way more than the 40%.
Yep. We do.
Mr. Chairman, Justin,
Yes, sir.
Justin, you're talking about changing your marketing, but what revenues are you starting off with? What revenue projections?
Let me pull that up. I think it's 1.5 is where we're at.
I thought we had talked about going to 1.6, Judy, because we're tracking about 2 million. So the 1.6 would still even be conservative.
I had put in 1.5. I was just being conservative depending, we can go to 1.6, that's fine too. My budget, my projections were way more than that based off a 10-year projection, so.
Yeah, I got 1.5, 1.3, 500. So if we go to 1.6,
Yeah,
adding
and
80
Mr. Chairman, many members, last year you did right about 1.8, and that's with April and May being at record lows because of COVID. This year we're tracking to hit 2 million.
Do you know if council wants to stay more conservative? Because last year when we had put the amounts at like 1 million, they cut us back.
Well, I'm not sure, Judy. These recommendations are all going to be going to the council, so we'll get that input at that time.
well, and one of the reasons I was asking about the funding, because if there was like a windfall that we needed to spend, I guess I'll say from two positions, I would advocate for supporting as many of the special projects that Rodney and some of the others on the agenda are going to be submitting requests. But if there is additional funding that we need to be able to spend, and there was some windfall money, I would be very interested in doing a large purchase in Arizona and possibly some of these other markets where we can try to gain some of that market share. So that's kind of why I asked my question initially. But I'm very open to discussion on how the board thinks we should proceed. My initial budget that I have put together is for $400,000. And I can give you the breakdown. When we're looking at media, I'm going to break it down by category. My initial budget is about $13,000 for magazines. That's our legacy magazines. So when I say legacy, New Mexico Magazine is the magazine that we'd invest in. Military media, about $15,000. Annual guides, if they even have them, which they did not last year, $7,700. What we call outdoor out-of-home, what you guys probably call billboard advertising, airport advertising, that's $150,000. Social, e-blast, all that type of stuff, $87,000 on social. So the total budget so what we looked at, search engine marketing of $12,000, and then social budget of $72,000. And then I've got television budgeted at roughly $100,000. The Midtown entertainment, which would be something we've done in the past where we have some musicians set up, or the other consideration is looking at hiring the local theater troupe to perform Billy the Kid Wild West Shootout in Midtown, roughly $10,000 for the summer. So my total budget would be $400,000. The total that I just gave you comes up to $382,700. So there would be a little bit of wiggle room in there for us if we needed to wiggle. Again, in the past, we've always been able to come to the Lodgers Tax Board if we see opportunities that arise, and they've been supported. So I'm not concerned about having to come back and ask later. But if there were additional funds that Judy would recommend, I could definitely add more to it and spend it. So just let me know. And I should say, Kelly and I went through this line by line and really looked at some of the stuff we had cut last year. For the record, last year we were down to $217,000. So the previous year we had $435,000. We went through and cut out 50% of our budget. It was at the direction of City Manager Dodge in conjunction with Mayor Crawford and Judy to ensure that we were going to be fiscally responsible, that we were going to put ourselves in a healthy position to recover. And as Tim kept saying, load up the war chests. So Judy, what do you think? Is that 400 going to be okay if we budget that? And then we could look at some of those cash reserves down the road and see if we want to add to the additional funding? Or do you think, or based on your recommendation, should we add more to that budget now? What direction would you advise us to go in?
So now, right now, in the paperwork that you have it at 380,000 and you want to take it up to what?
400?
Oh, I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
Or as high as you'll let us go.
580? Tell me when to stop. I want to go big in Arizona this year.
And we moved the special events to 100,000. So, I mean, you had
158.
158.
Yeah, so now I think we'll be good, at least a starting point. And then if we see that we're in the first or second quarter of the year, I mean, we usually look mid-year to see if the receipts are coming in higher. I mean, we can always circle back.
I like that. I've always liked that conservative approach because I'd rather know that we're going to be healthy than over assess our risk.
Right.
So 400, if you're comfortable with that, then I'm comfortable asking the board for that. And I think we can reassess in, let's say, August or some time frame to see where we're at and see how the summer went.
Yeah.
Board, what do y'all say? What are your thoughts and considerations? And do you need me to I know I went over that kind of quickly, or is there any? Okay. I think with the outdoor out of home, we have some conversations with the markets we're in. So El Paso, Phoenix, Tucson, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston, that we can likely hit all those markets to really get that messaging out there. And then just so you're aware, we typically go outdoor out of home, stack it with heavy social advertising, and then where we can afford it, supplement with television advertising as well. So we're hitting them from multiple angles, and we're really driving that messaging home. And our social has a lot of flexibility to be a lot more specific, whereas we have a lot of brand awareness on TV, outdoor, out of home, the military, and then we can dial it in really, really deep on that social to get into some of the specifics like Kelly talked about, the road trip to Rio Dosa or RV Rio Dosa or, young family Rio Dosa, whatever it is, we can get specific with that and be a lot more crafty and agile with those funds. Okay.
We also talked about bringing the Tucson buses back.
Tucson buses, and they also have the light rail down there that you can wrap that is really cool. So I'm getting some quotes on pricing of that right now. And I will, once the budget's fully accepted and then, of course, approved by council, then we'll start making a mad dash up until July to make sure we get a lot of the funding allocated and POs in place for these contracts. Okay. All right, Chief, you ready to rock and roll?
Sorry, I'm ready.
All right.
Go ahead.
Me?
Oh,
I just spoke for 10 minutes. So traditionally, the Rio Dosa Police Department has always requested funding. And what it is we have to realize as we continue to increase our advertising budgets, we're putting more of a burden on the independent departments that help sustain our tourism economy. And a part of that is these special events that we're heavily funding right now. The police department is going to have an additional presence, and also just the additional presence of having a lot more people in town. It requires more of a workload from the police department. So, 2019 or was it 2020? I'm getting these years all mixed up, but the previous request was 60,000, and that was fully allocated, and it didn't get fully used because of the way COVID hit in March, and we were basically March, April, May, and June. It didn't get fully utilized that last quarter, but they had utilized, I want to say, about 2/3 of it up to that point. So I think it would have been realistic that it probably would have gotten close to being utilized. Again, it's hard to think of us funding police overtime directly out of the tourism budget because it doesn't seem like it's directly tourism related, but even when it comes down to the trash collection people, we put a lot of burdens on these departments because of the amount of volume of people that we're bringing into town. So if we can help out where we can through police
Public safety.
overtime and other things, it's a good thing for us to do.
Thank you, Justin. That was amazing. I don't think I need to say anything more, do I? Obviously, with the expected tourism that you all get here in Rio Dosa, I think it's a beautiful thing. So with that, I think when people come down to our beautiful village, I think they're going to expect to see officers out there. So I think in addition to our regular shift, we'll add some additional law enforcement protection. And I think that will help with the safety and ensure the safety of them and as well as our local people here in Rio Dosa. So given that, 60,000 seems to be a amazing number to provide additional safety services during the time that we're getting this large amount of people in our community. And if things, I guess, don't work out, I guess we can come back and ask for some additional service, or if we don't, we'll revert it back as we did in the past,
Calm
right?
down, Rodney.
I'm sorry. I just want to be able to provide the best law enforcement service that we possibly can. And the only way to do that is to have numbers out there. You know, it's very difficult. As I said before, we can't have a cop in every single corner, but, you know, during some of these special events, so I think we should be able to do so. But given that, I think Justin explained it all, and I hope that with your permission, we get approved this amount for this time.
I will say, when I stepped on this board in 2015, the budget for police overtime was, I think it was about $30,000.
It was.
And we moved it up to 35, and it still wasn't being met. This kind of shows how, you know, the impact of tourism, how this has almost doubled in 5 years, which is great. I mean, and it's needed. So no brainer there. We appreciate all that you guys do, and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Love it. I love it here.
Anything else? All right. Justin, continue.
Okay, I think that we should, for these line item funding requests, at this point, we'd be seeking approval for those. Yeah, just do them in one swoop, and then once we get down to the actual FY22 lodgers tax budget worksheet, we can really get in the nitty gritty with Judy to make sure all of our numbers add up to that 1.6.
So with that said, do we have a motion to approve the 4 line item funding requests that were just discussed?
I make a motion to approve the line.
Do we need to name them?
I second.
I think it's probably okay.
I think we're good. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Justin?
Awesome. So FY22, Judy, does it make sense for us to do this first or last, the FY22 lodger tax budget worksheet? Should we hear the request and then do it, or does that not matter? Because the requests are coming out of cash reserves, correct?
For the funding for 22? Is that
Yes.
what you're asking?
Yes. Should we do the FY22 lodgers tax budget worksheet last on our last as the agenda item, or should we do it? Should we do these other requests like Rodney, Matt with RMA, and then Samantha first, and then do that one last?
Yeah, that's fine. That way you can hear them and that I'll have the numbers.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry I put it in the wrong order. I should have put that last. I just realized that. Samantha, are you on the call? If she's not, I can, oh, I see her. I'll text her because I know she's always like on 3 phone calls at once, so. Yeah, Matt Ingram, are you on the call?
Yeah, you guys got me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I got 2 presentations I'd like to screen share with you.
That's fine. Hey, Mayor, we heard your
Okay.
music. We heard your music. We heard you jamming out earlier.
Can you guys see the presentation, or do I need to minimize this?
It's small like that, Matt, but however you had it full size, that we can see fairly well. We can't read every item, but we can see it fairly well.
Okay, copy that. A lot of what I did was in my actual application. Again, Matt Ingram here with the Rio Dosa Midtown Association. One of our economic transformation strategies is to enhance the streetscape within Midtown. One thing that we've been able to work with is the New Mexico Main Street Technical Service request, and we've pulled several different design renderings from them over the course of our relationship with them over the past 3 years. One thing that we've identified is that there is a big impact in Rio Dosa with not enough wayfinding signage to our public parking, our public parks, and our restrooms. So we were able to identify in the MRA plan that was just adopted back in July of wayfinding and signage to the Midtown district. So one of the key resources in this project identified in the plan was to utilize New Mexico Main Street Technical Assistance for the project. RMA was just successful last week in obtaining technical service for a developed sign plan starting in Midtown and working out from the heart of Midtown. Really, the idea with the project is to just create a wayfinding project for RMA to work with local businesses, organizations, vendors, and agencies to kind of further this project. Rio Dosa Parks and Recreation would also be there to help facilitate the project and be pivotal in design, placement, and installation efforts. This is just another way that we can leverage the community's overall resource. The project will update the city signage, improve navigation through the Midtown district in a creative wayfinding effort. The project will help establish a strong sense of place, a cohesive message for the Main Street district, and help prevent overall user confusion. So RMA will work with New Mexico Main Street for a wayfinding signage plan. We'll work with designers to come up with a brand specific sign that meets the village's brand. We're seeking funding for implementation. The $30,000 would be specifically used for printing only of signs. So I think that would be a great resource. I've reached out to both Belen and Raton Main Street, who have just implemented a wayfinding project, have got vendors, numbers, kind of all of the above from there, so that we could potentially get the most streamlined product, the most efficient sources of resources, and we already know where to order the signs from. But again, we would want to really use this project as an opportunity for public input, again, to showcase all of our parks, restrooms, and public parking. So again, I would stand for any questions that anybody might have on the wayfinding signage project.
Matt, I would just say, I don't know what the funding approval amount is going to end up being, but I would say just to ensure that you're working with Alden and, Carrie on ensuring that it falls within brand guidelines for the Village of Rio Dosa. So we want to make sure everything falls. Those look good from afar. It's just hard for me to see those up front. But, I think it's great that you're tying this back into the MRA plan. The master plan. And I think it'll be great for the village is just to get some of that signing updated, because it does tend to fall pretty sterile on the eyes, and it doesn't always get seen. So something that we can do to update it would be great.
Yeah, creative things could also be installed in there. You can always use like art to help promote like directional use. I know that we could also use maybe our digital app. We could put some information on our signs as well. Another thing that I'd really be interested in is also just kind of a block by block business directory. Again, if stores do change out, that could present a problem, but I would foresee it being a good ways to draw traffic to other parts of the Main Street that aren't really getting used or high trafficked. For instance, that east portion of Midtown there on the south end of the street really doesn't get a lot of traffic. I think that we can continue to let people know that there's additional shopping once you get past the Westlake Optical and Tall Pines.
One other thing that I would encourage you to look at, and I know you and I have had these discussions, but I just want the board to know too, is that I really like the idea of creating and working with their technical specialists to create an actual site map of Midtown and look at the potential of putting up a couple monitors so that as people are going through, they might be able to look at a monitor and go, oh, I want to go to that shop, and they can see it on there and they can see where it's at. And so they know directionally where they're heading. Look at all the options. I think print options are going to be obviously number one, but some of the digital components of actually being able to create something that we could change and adapt as businesses come and go, I think would be extremely useful. Kind of like a mall style kiosk type deal is what I'm thinking.
Yep, and we've already secured several locations through the Midtown District for additional digital kiosks. It might be also a very interactive way that we can continue to kind of show places and tie this into the wayfinding project.
Does the board have any other questions for Matt? Okay.
Can I say something real quick in support of Matt's proposal? We had just yesterday, some ladies came into the visitor center and they wanted to know how to get to Rio Dosa. So I think additional signage is important. When I told them they were in Rio Dosa, they said, well, where's the shopping? So people don't know where they are when they're coming into town, and they don't know how to get to the shopping. So I think signage all along Suttereth and as you're coming into town from the east is a really good thing to have, so people know where they are, how to get to the shopping, and just how to get around Rio Dosa.
Yeah, I would like to start the project there in the main street, but this is definitely one of those projects where I'd like to work outside of the district to channel people into the district as well. And then again, I've talked with Rodney multiple times on this, utilizing their expertise. Wingfield Park is going under a big redevelopment here in the future. So again, we want to incorporate and make sure that this is a comprehensive plan that's going to highlight all the assets that we're going to work on and we currently have.
Yeah, I think long-term too, it'd be cool to look at something like Golden, Colorado does with the big howdy folks on each side of, as you're coming into their main shopping district. I mean, I know working with the DOT, it's a little more challenging to go over the road, so it doesn't necessarily have to do that, but there's a lot of opportunity to say, hey, you're in our main district, so I think this is a scalable project.
Absolutely. Okay. I have one more. So another thing that we've identified at the organization, and it matches the Suttereth Drive, disregard that. I think I put the wrong slide in there, but the project is called in the Master Redevelopment Area Plan Pedestrian Improvement Project on Center Street. Rio Dosa Midtown has identified that the existing sidewalks on the corridor from Center Street heading south to Wingfield Park are in dire need of repair. RMA has worked with local businesses. In fact, each one of the businesses up the Center Street corridor have given a letter of support for a pedestrian improvement project to happen. And so I will share that with you guys. I can email that out to you guys later. But the idea here is to just try to create a corridor up to Wingfield Park that is safe for our pedestrians. Last year, the Rio Dosa Parks and Rec and Village of Rio Dosa put in a sidewalk on the east side of Center Street at Texas Street all the way up to Wingfield Park. We would like to continue the sidewalk over to the parking lot. And then we would also like to work with the new owner of the vacant property just south of Texas Street and we have a letter of support for him to put a 5-foot sidewalk up along the road there. And look at trying to move some of those trash cans around. Again, working with Donnie Mack, over the business owner of Indulgence in 102 Center Street, to try to level out some of those stairs that go up from Center Street. I have talked with some contractors on the deal, and I think that within the $70,000 budget, we could get all sidewalks replaced up that entire corridor, besides the existing sidewalk that was put in last year. So again, I did get letters of support from the Trading Post, Indulgence, 102 Center Street, Pot of Gold, the vacant property. We have a letter of support, and we'll have to establish maybe a survey or an easement to get sidewalks all the way up that corridor. They will stop at Wingfield Park, but again, this is kind of a preparatory project to highlight what's going to happen at Wingfield Park. We need our patrons to be able to safely go to the park, as well as our public parking facilities. So I think that this is just a sidewalk development project for the Main Street to take on here. So I guess other than that, I would stand for any questions.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really heavily trafficked little area right there. Yeah, any weekend, summer, holiday, it is pretty packed. So, and it can be treacherous.
So Tyler Stuckey, the owner of Tall Pine's brother, Sean Stuckey, has purchased that property that's adjacent to the public parking up there. So, one thing that we want to work with is identifying, working with these local business owners to kind of fix up the area. And then work with Sean to get those sidewalks up. I think that would be awesome. I know that I've discussed with Tim a couple times before that there's some rain gutters that come out right along the side of Rio Dosa Trading Post. I've been talking with Arnold to get those switched out because they do present a hazard. So I think this would just be a great opportunity for us to work with these private businesses, fix up their place, and then I have some other projects and ideas up along that corridor as well that I think would complement, but I just don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. But I just really feel that getting in need of our patrons from our parking lot down to our Midtown district in a safe manner is best.
I think it's particularly obvious when we have special events up there. I mean, that road is almost undrivable because of the number of people that are walking in the street. So if we can get them up there safely on the sidewalk, we can address two issues pretty quickly. So, and you said you've worked with Rodney, or who'd you work with on this quote? Is this realistic?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked with Rodney in the costs that it took to implement the other sidewalk. We based it off of a square footage. So then it would ultimately go out to bid and see if we can't get it done underneath that $70,000. One thing that RMA is also doing is applying for grants for the same project. So to try to leverage some funds, a lot of these grants require a cash match. Right now we have a grant in the TIL, the Challenged Communities grants from AARP, a $15,000 grant that has been submitted to help the project out. So this wouldn't necessarily be the only funding source that we go after to accomplish the project, but it would be an opportunity for us to get it kicked off, get much of these sidewalks repaired, and then continue the project on. If we do run out of funds, we would continue to raise funds until the project's complete.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This is a sidewalk project, is more of a public works project than a lodger's tax project. It's it serves the public facilities. It's not really even though it ties in two areas of a park to Midtown, it's more of a public works project. So, and Judy, would you concur with me on that?
So we wouldn't be able to fund.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
And this, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we do have a request that will be presented to the governing body for these type of projects. So my recommendation is that we would move this to our capital outlay request through the governing body.
Works for me.
Can't win them all, Matt. You can't win them all.
Give me some money. I'm trying to do some stuff over here, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. We appreciate you. Samantha, are you back online? I know you text me.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to state that, I appreciate Matt's efforts and, we do recognize that needs to be done. We just want to make sure that we're pulling it out of the correct pots of money.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge.
Hi, thank you, Justin. Sorry about the delay. Chairman, today I have before you all an option to switch our short-term rental monitoring company from Granicus, which was formerly Host Compliance, to Lodging Rev. I presented this to two of our property managers in town. I invited Condotel, however, there was a scheduling issue where she was unable to meet some of the meetings that we had set up. Their recommendation was to move forward with switching companies. Part of the issue that we're experiencing is since Host Compliance was cannibalized by Granicus, the level of service has gone way down, the customer service is down. So we're not happy with the product at this time internally. But some of the features from Lodging Rev were different than what Host Compliance currently offers. They have the ability to provide that auditing component that we were going to purchase last summer that turned out to be something that Host Compliance wasn't able to follow through with. It was just an idea that they had. So we would be able to get an estimated amount based on the calendar days that are blocked off for the short-term rentals and see how much they should be remitting in lodger's tax. It's more user-friendly. So when the property manager goes in to enter the property and say they need to get out to gather more information, at this time they're timed out and they start back at step one. With the new company, they would be able to pick right back up where they left off. So they would be able to continue that process instead of having to start from the beginning. This would allow the property managers to have more control of their properties as opposed to Host Compliance mailing the actual owner of the property and the property manager. So sometimes it appears that duplicate letters are being sent out and it's causing trust issues with the owner of the property, thinking the property manager wasn't taking care of that. So this would clear up some of that confusion. That's one of the recommendations that one of the property managers that demoed the software appreciated. This just has a better identification process with the property, so we're not getting lost and having misinformation sent out. So we like that component of it. They have more customer service features that were there available. I only have my staff here 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they'd be available after hours. So I really appreciated that because I know some of these property managers, these are their second homes and it's not their full-time job. So they're not in the office, say per office hours. The cost is significantly less. Right now, we're looking to renew Host Compliance at $73,710 this year, and Lodging Rev the first year would be $48,960, and with the second year, it would drop to $45,168. They did state they'd be able to help us with the conversion over. This is a process I would need to get started this month, though, if we choose to go in this direction. So I'll stand for any questions that anyone may have.
Alan was just saying that Kristen looked it over and was.
I think, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. I haven't talked to my boss, but yeah, I mean, if Samantha feels good about it, let's do it.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the support.
It's a savings of what? It was like 30,000?
20,000, 25.
25? They seemed pretty awesome. And what was it? Sedona was the sample or the example that they used. And I mean, obviously a heavily touristed destination, so it's working well for them. Cool, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
All right, you guys ready for the pain? Take a deep breath.
Good morning. I'm Rodney Griego, the Village of Ruidoso Parks and Recreation Director. So I have a list of projects requesting funding for today. That is a combination of some year-long efforts through master planning of Grindstone Lake, some Alto Lake property, Eagle Creek Sports Complex. And so I'll review each one of the requests, and then I'll entertain any questions that you all may have. So I'll start on the list, and I apologize, I think the photos might be out of order, but on the Eagle Creek Sports Complex, as you all are hopefully aware of, the village signed an expansion agreement with Ruidoso Snow Play to offer year-round activities at that complex. The summer activities that they're looking, or that will be added, are summer tubing, a mountain coaster, which will be the first in New Mexico and possibly the longest in the United States. Along with that, he would be offering zip lining in the summer. And then the change in his winter operations would be an addition of a beginner ski area and a snowboard park. But this request is really dealing with the summer operations. So we are anticipating that the summer operations will happen at the same time as our youth and adult tournaments. And we are foreseeing that, with the current situation of the gravel parking area and no parking attendance, that it would create some parking issues. Typically in the summer when we have tournaments, because it's a gravel parking lot, there's not any sort of coordinated parking effort or designated parking. It really becomes a free-for-all. And we've been able to manage it over the years, but I mean, our staff when we encounter a person that has parked in a place, we either have to hunt them down or kind of suffer for an hour till that game is over, and then we request the person move their vehicle. So over the years, we've eliminated the use of camp trailers during tournament events, RVs. A lot of people bring trailers to haul their equipment in, and so we've eliminated the majority of that and minimized it to improve those issues. However, again, with both of these operations at one time, we're expecting issues without, performing some type of improvements. And so what we're proposing is to pave 3/4 of the parking lot and have a parking plan striped on the pavement. The reason why we're only doing 3/4 of the area is because the other remaining quarter is where the winter operations with the snowmaking happen, and so it would essentially aid in melting the snow if it had pavement. I have worked with Groundwork Studios, who has the current RFP to perform master planning and conceptual plans for the village. They have put together a parking plan. It would, in total, including the asphalt area and some temporary striping of the gravel, we would have roughly around 300 parking spaces, which we would believe would be a tremendous help into organizing the parking during the summer use. And so the project estimate, I've worked through a couple different contractors that have either state contract pricing or CES, which is a purchasing cooperative with the state, and the estimates are right at $400,000. And that's really the description of that improvement. Are there any questions regarding that item? And just to make another point of clarification, it is somewhat related to this, is we're not removing any of the fields from local league or tournament play. And so that's kind of something that has been brought up. But this is really key to that plan, is to providing the adequate parking to accommodate everything. So it really does go hand in hand. I mean, to retaining the full use of all those fields for baseball and softball. If there are, go ahead.
Where do they park if it's full?
I'm sorry?
Where do they park if it's full? Like if all the spots are full, where do they park?
So what we have done over the years, I mean, we have, the complex was built in the early 80s. And so at one point, we really didn't have a limitation on the number of teams that we could accommodate. And as the tournaments grew, we experienced some really, critical growing pains with safe access, not only for participants, but for emergency vehicles. And so what we have done over the years is we have implemented a maximum team capacity that's able to enter tournaments. And so really the biggest issue we've had are with adult tournaments. And we have implemented a 65 team maximum to tournament entries. We have a fee structure that can accommodate more than 65 teams, but it's really established to try to discourage that level of use just because of the safety aspect. But that 65 teams, it does, through our years of experience, it does accommodate the vehicles and attendees there in the park. Since we have implemented that capacity, we really don't have any overflow parking areas designated, and that's really the reason why we established that that number of team capacity.
Perfect, thank you.
You said 300 spots?
Yes.
So it's like, so average of 2.5 a car is the general assumption. So I mean, you got 750 people, you could cram in there pretty easy, and even if you had a 65 team tournament, chances are you're gonna have way fewer than,
right?
Because there are only 3 fields, so.
And so
pretty adequate.
Typically what we have during a tournament is, I mean, at the maximum, you're gonna have 12 teams in the complex at one, or I apologize, you're gonna have 18 maximum teams at one point, because you'll have 2 teams playing on each field. You'll have 2 teams that have just completed playing that are leaving for each field, and then you'll have 2 teams that are arriving for each field. And so, we crunched the numbers, and recently, especially because of COVID, we're trying to minimize that overlapping period. And, for reference, this year, just due to our COVID safe plans, we're minimizing and not encouraging spectators, and we're providing more time between games to allow people to be able to leave the complex and arrive for the next games.
What is Casey and Tom saying about what they think their occupancy levels are gonna be for the Mountain Coaster and what their requirements are gonna be?
So, I really haven't gotten into that, those numbers. I did visit with Mr. Dorgan prior to, implementing this conceptual plan for the parking. We didn't, again, specifically address numbers, but we did visit the plan. Tom's plan is going to be, if this wasn't implemented, his plan is to hire a parking attendant because he feels that strongly that he will have to have a coordinated parking plan in order to accommodate both. Again, if this doesn't happen, I mean, we're just going to have to commit to that. But he does feel that the numbers of parking that it would implement would be adequate for his or both operations.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll move on to the next item. So the next item on the list is Grindstone Lake Master Plan recommended improvements. So the master plan, I believe that was funded by Lodgers Tax, was recently completed. It will be presented to the Village of Ruidoso in today's governing body meeting. Some of the essential components that we feel and based upon the plan that we would like to implement in the next couple months as soon as possible are the inclusion of signage and much like Matt mentioned for Midtown. Up to this point, we've used various, temporary signage to accommodate or accomplish the task, whether it was water park or whether it was last year's COVID issues. The activities at the lake change on a seasonal basis. And so, through the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we do offer swimming. Outside of that period, we do not offer swimming. There's fishing regulations. There's operation hours of the rental business and the concession. And so I believe we're at a point where we can implement the permanent signage that would provide the visitors with accurate and convenient information located around the various parking areas, because it's pretty substantial parking areas. And right now, the signage is concentrated in the parking lot. Well, we have a lot of people that are cutting corners, getting to areas because there is no signage directing them where the walking trails are, where trails are, restrooms, and all of the facilities. So this will be an important improvement to coordinate information for visitors. The next item is hardening of the boat ramp. And so one of the most popular areas, not only by visitors, but a lot of locals, is bringing your own paddle boards, kayaks, and canoes to the lake. Last year, what we experienced was that as the water levels were receding, the ground that was exposed was really wet. And so we had lots of comments on customer dissatisfaction with trying to get their vessels into the water. And this was definitely one of the biggest points of public input during that time was we need to do something more permanent with the boat ramp. And so based upon recommendations from the master plan, we're proposing to concrete that boat ramp, again, to provide mainly the visitors bringing their personal watercraft with a convenient and safe access. It would also aid in the stocking of the lakes with the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish trucks as well. We coordinate the deliveries with that department, and on occasion they did have some minor issues with the wet ground, the mud as well, but we were able to accommodate all of the stocking, but it would also aid in that. The next item is a stairway to get you safely get pedestrians from the campground parking to the upper parking lot at Grindstone. Currently, what people are doing is they're just traversing a very steep dirt incline. And so it's really unsafe. It is a recommendation in the plan. And again, it'll provide pedestrians with along with the signage, will provide them with the safe access down to the parking areas. So I will entertain any questions that you all may have with those recommended improvements.
I will say the concrete boat ramp's pretty good timing to do it right now. If you're
Yes, it is also convenient timing. You know, that is one particular item that will also, require some Army Corps permitting. So, it is really great timing since the water level is down, but we will have to coordinate that permit process with that as well. The next item is based upon a conceptual plan that the Parks Department had completed and worked with administration and department staff within the village. Again, I'm not certain that you all are aware of this plan. I did attach it to the packet. So what we have put together is, if y'all are familiar with Alto Lake, the sediment pond, which is before the lake, we are working with the state and the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish to designate that as a children's fishing pond. And so along with that designation, we are looking at implementing some walking paths around there, a footbridge to cross the diversion channel, a stairway to get down to a dock. I'm not asking for funding for all of those, to cover all of that conceptual plan, but I'm asking for funding for the essential components. Along with that plan, the village purchased an adjacent property which previously served as a restaurant, a residence, a post office. We're currently, we will present a proposal to award a concession contract for that property, also in today's governing body meeting. In that property, we're looking at implementing a similar concession rental operation that's currently happening at Grindstone Lake. It will be smaller in scale in the rental department, but it will be larger in scale in the retail and concession and restaurant offerings. So we're looking at operating on a daily basis from 9 to 5, offering, fishing tackle license sales, fishing license sales, which is very important because typically we were referring people, either they were having to leave the area, either go to Walmart, Western Auto, or we tried to encourage them to purchase it online, which you can. But a lot of people are still dead set on having that paper license. So we'll be able to accommodate license sales actually at both lakes. So, all of those are key components to, initiating this children's fishing pond. And so what I'm asking for the funding for the improvements are, again, a bridge to cross from the concession operation and the children's pond. There's over the diversion channel to get to the service road that surrounds the lake. We're also requesting, so upstream of that pond, we're requesting some funding for some stream habitat. And that's actually going to serve a couple of purposes. Since that area is being designated as a children's pond, and that stream is intermittent, it flows intermittently throughout the year. What we're really looking at is providing children some opportunities to actually interact within those fish habitat structures. It may not actually, hold fish, but it will, kids are adventurous. And that's really what we're trying to implement in that area is some opportunities for them, to launch a little boat in a stream, splash in the water. They're not going to be substantial pools, but just enough to provide some opportunities, again, for children and family to kind of have a little adventure in that area. Again, a key component is always signage and, providing people with the accurate and information of what we actually have to offer at the lake, not only in that children's pond area, but, the walking trails and recreation area that's to the east of the Alto Lake area. We're also requesting funding to place some picnic tables around that children's pond area. Again, for families to be able to set up and enjoy picnics in the area. Again, a component is a stairway to get from that service road down to the boat rental dock. And the last item is actually the dock itself. It will accommodate a little bit of seating on the dock, but the main thing we're trying to address is the placement of some rental kayaks and canoes in that area. And so that completes those items for the Alto Lake Conceptual Plan. And I'll entertain any questions that you all may have regarding those improvements, recommended improvements.
Just out of curiosity, the rentals from
Yes,
there,
ma'am.
are you doing paddle boards or kayaks because it's smaller, or what?
So,
Considering.
Yes, ma'am. So per the existing ordinance with the Village of Ruidoso, you are allowed to have paddle boards. The one limitation that you cannot do, which is related at Alto Lake, is you're not allowed to swim. Of course, when you talk to people who are avid paddleboarders, they don't swim. They're paddleboarding. And we clarified that years ago, and that's why we added paddleboards as a year-round activity in both of our lakes. And so to answer your question, you can have paddleboards, kayaks, canoes, even paddle boats. But our fleet, or what we're working with the vendors, is to have a fleet of around 10 to 15 vessels. It's not going to be anywhere near the inventory that's at Grindstone, just because the surface area on the lake wouldn't permit it. And, one of our key goals out of these master plans is to not overuse our resources by impacting them with high numbers. And so we will be limiting that, to not overcrowd the lake.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks.
Any other questions regarding that Alto property? The next item is to aid with current projects that's going on in the Midtown area. So in Midtown, as you all are probably aware, the Department of Transportation, along with the Village of Ruidoso, is implementing a sidewalk replacement. And so along with that, we have been upgrading some of the trees along the area. We've been kind of strategically placing the trash cans along the sidewalks. And the existing benches that are in place, the village is removing them, and we're stockpiling them with the hope of upgrading the benches in that area. So on the south side of the street, there's a total of 8 benches that will be temporarily removed. Again, we do have the ability to replace them on that sidewalk, but we really would like to replace all of them with a more modern type bench. I did attach a couple of photos. We're also hopefully in the future. I've been working on getting quotes for replacement of light poles. The village owns 35 of the wooden poles there in Midtown that we would like to upgrade as well to more of a more modern steel fluted pole. And these benches would actually kind of coordinate with that hopefully future funded project. Ultimately, what we would, what the Parks Department would like to see is to replace every bench in the Midtown area. And there is a total of 16 benches in the Midtown area. And so in order for it to be, have the same, look throughout the area, we would, again, prefer to replace all of those benches with a more modern bench in that area. And as maybe come up as one of your questions. Again, it was just the sidewalk project was just designated as a maintenance project, and so none of the replacement of the trees, benches, or trash cans were included in that maintenance project. And so just kind of related to that, the Keep Ruidoso Beautiful program that operates out of the Parks Department has been upgrading the trees in that area with their grant funds. And so I'll entertain any questions that you may have regarding the replacement benches.
Did y'all get to see the pictures? They're pretty classy looking cast iron. They look good.
Yeah.
Backless. Sidewalks look good.
Yeah, the sidewalk projects are coming along really good.
Yeah. Yeah, they look nice.
So if there are no questions, I'll move on to the next item.
I actually had a question about the sidewalks. Are they gonna is the state or village, are they gonna repaint the yellow on the curb?
You heard the mayor.
Because the sidewalks look really nice, and then it's like the old paint, the old yellow paint on some of like the no parking areas.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Ron has ordered some paintbrushes, so he's gonna be out there having a paint party.
We want to see how good of a painter Justin is, paint between the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are gonna be putting some lipstick out there, so.
Good.
We're also trying to get the state to, on a striping plan, they're trying to seek some funding to do a complete striping of the roadways also.
More brooms too, that way we can sweep up the sidewalks. They
Also,
will be painted, Kelly.
just for clarification too, Rodney, I know when we put out the release on the project, we said that it was from Center Street to Zia Real Estate. But then one of the workers the other day said that they were going all the way to Pine, which is just past my office here. Has there been a change or?
So initially, when it was talked about, the DOT funds are I believe supposed to cover from the Center Street to Zia. The village did also contribute $100,000 toward that project, and so the plan is to utilize the village funds to accommodate the area from Zia up to Pine Street. And so, the project is kind of jumping around a little bit. So once they hit Zia Street, they're going to go back to Center Street to try to utilize all the NMDOT funds first, and then they'll be moving back down to Zia and proceeding east to utilize the remaining funding that's available.
Okay.
The next item, or should I wait?
Maybe take a recess.
Okay.
Be nice to get those lights updated down there. Those ones were really cool that we have. It's just they've had their time. They've had their time.
I think when they were implemented, it really fit together. There used to be trash cans, cedar trash cans, the light poles, the benches, it all really fit together really well. Things have changed in 20 years. You guys are muted.
Thank you.
Might be some liberators out there.
And we're back. All right, Rodney, you want to get into that last one?
Yes, sir. So the last item is a portable stage. And so, is that how it's listed? I want to make sure
Mobile stage.
it's a mobile stage and a combination with a light and sound package. And so what this unit is, it is a portable stage that mobile stage that you can move around with a vehicle. You can hang sound, lighting, banners on it. It will accommodate a lot of concerts, size bands, not really, really large ones, but most of the ones that we would host in the Wingfield Park area. And that's really the main location that we're looking at. However, we would have the ability to, again, to move it to whatever location, anywhere around Ruidoso. And, it's a possibility that we could also rent this. Again, the main intention is to use it at Wingfield Park. It could accommodate, it could serve as a stage for local events, like the Festival of Light parade after parties, the Aspen. It could serve for those smaller bands that utilize that at that time. It could, again, serve as a stage for the Ruidoso Marathon, Brudoso, all type of events. It could be used again for concerts for the Mountain Smoke, the Brudoso. The largest concert we have there with the All-American Music Festival, it may not accommodate an event of that size, but Justin may be able to add a little more to that. But again, the light and sound package that we've requested information on would accommodate all of those type of events that I mentioned. Again, it's a mobile package that, we would work with the tourism department, of course, our park staff, to be able to position that for various different events in different locations throughout that Wingfield Park area. Another item I'd want to touch base on, and Matt had mentioned this, is that we will be initiating that the Wingfield Park Master Plan process. That project was identified in the comprehensive plan that the village completed in 2019. And so, again, this stage, if we made the purchase, that plan did have the position or recommendation for a stage in that park. Of course, this is more of a temporary, where that conceptual plan did have a specific location for a permanent stage. But I think this would actually better fit the needs and the type of events that we're having in the village of Ruidoso, and that we continue to hope to have and attract. I'll entertain any questions that y'all may have regarding the portable stage.
The event promoters, Leo, I think is their name, I'm forgetting it now, but they're the ones that are working with the state of New Mexico and the now named All-American Cowboy Fest. They were the ones that recommended this company. They host large-scale music festivals, but they said for smaller scale music festivals would be ideal for us. So that's how we kind of got in the conversation with this company. They're really well, if you tell the majority of bands you have coming in, you tell them you have a SL 100, they're going to know exactly what kind of stage you have, what the expectations are. They're going to be very familiar with it. The sound equipment and stuff was something else that is an easy add-on. But it's something that we should at least have the conversation. If there's a possibility to fund it, I think it would be valuable for us. I'm saying this from a standpoint of when I hosted Wind Rider up at Ski Apache, I rented the same stage that Brian Chavez did for the All-American Country for his All-American Country Music Festival. The stage rental alone for the weekend is $30,000. Your sound equipment is going to be an additional $40,000-ish, $30,000 to $40,000. So for us, it would be a good item for us to start leveraging potential music event organizers to consider us. And as Rodney said, it's not going to be the biggest stage, but if we brought in bands that didn't have large scale requirements for sound and lighting, this would be a really good stage, and I could see us utilizing it heavily to throw music festivals on our own and do smaller scale events that we could really leverage this. So, and it's a pretty sizable stage once it fully folds out. I don't remember the full dimensions of it. We have the full specs on it, but it's still a pretty sizable stage, even though it's really mobile. And you don't have to pull it with a semi, which is nice. You can pull it with a 3/4 ton pickup truck. So that's my input on the stage.
I was scrolling through Google pictures of it, just getting an idea. One of the things that wasn't on your sheet, but it shows a lot of them are like big banners on the top and on the sides. I don't know how it would work with Parks and Rec or the village government, but would you be able to sell ad space for these things? Just local businesses, that kind of thing, and recoup a little bit of revenue on that. Is that a possibility? Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that showed, it was big banners on.
Right.
It has that capability, so, okay.
So the stage is 24 by 20 and it was expandable. I'm trying to figure out where the expansion options were, but the kit that he provided us, the quote that he provided us actually had the expansion kit on it as well. So it would be slightly larger. But yeah, that actually, he had mentioned that on the call, that's what some of the people do is they'll reach out to like an LNF, so they'll get like Bud Light to sponsor and stuff like that. So, I think there's some opportunity if that falls within the parameters of what we'd be looking to do. I think the biggest thing with the stage is it gives us one more asset that we can leverage to say, hey, this is why you should choose our community, because we can save you, $70,000 in stage and sound and equipment to host your small scale festival here and help event organizers like Brian, because then the initial cost of that is so crazy. You have to have deep pockets to get into that type of stuff.
When you can move this to Eagle Creek on your new parking lot.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
So if there aren't any other questions, I would actually like to add a little bit of information regarding the overall amount of the budget request. I have also submitted these requests to the governing body meeting later today. I believe that all of the projects, are very important, really to get us back on board with hosting events in the next year. The infrastructure improvements at the lakes, I think it's very important to have these in place. Last year we saw incredible visitor numbers on our outdoor spaces, specifically the lakes. And, we're anticipating really that we're not going to see, a drop off if any. If anything, we're adding back the water park and, we would expect to continue to see very high numbers. And again, these were important items that we feel would vastly improve these recreation areas. Let's see. Again, I'm not sure what the available funds are, but I do believe that, we could, if this was appropriated during the current fiscal year, it would give us the opportunity to make these purchases and be prepared that especially when if the state reopens, hopefully 100%, that we'll be ready to go. The stage, there is a little bit of a turnaround time on an order. So, you're looking at around, I think they said a minimum of 120 days, maybe 150. So if we were to, that item alone, it would place us, getting a stage around, August to September of this year. So, I think, timing on these is important, and I really appreciate your all's funding over the years. I think we've done some really great work at our lakes. It's actually, just really impressive.
Incredible. They look great. Well, I guess the conversation is talking to Judy. If y'all don't have any other questions for Rodney.
Rado, which of them I mean, we're in April right now, and several of these are over our limit for procurement. So, I mean, which of the ones could truly get done before end of year? Because like the stage, that's over procurement, so there's gonna have to be a scope, advertising. I mean, and that's gonna take some time. So are any of them doable before the end of June?
So we'll start at the top. Eagle Creek is, and that was a $400,000. And what I have done when I was working with vendors is I requested, again, either a state contract or a CES pricing on those. On the Grindstone Lake master plan, again, these are really small projects. They do go, fall within some of the purchasing requirements that require, bidding or three prices, but the stairways, I have CES quotes on. The boat ramp, I also have a CES quote on that. The one delay on that, again, is permitting through the Army Corps. But if it's not, the project is not approved this fiscal year, this is one thing that would concern me, is if we push it back to July and then we start the process at the end, that's going to put us more of, not completing until the fall, and we've missed all of that, summer business. The signage, of course, we can take care of that. I mean, definitely before the end of the fiscal year. Moving on to the Alto conceptual plan, several of those items is also, are going to require permitting through different departments, the Dam Safety Bureau and Army Corps. But I have initiated those discussions with the department heads within the village who typically address those items with permitting. Again, I'm not sure that we can initiate the permitting without the funding. I mean, but I would really like to initiate that process. That way we can implement those as soon as the permitting is available. The installation of the docks and the stairs and the bridge, are really simple processes. I mean, we've done those same projects at Grindstone already. The docks typically have a real quick turnaround order and delivery and installation time. And so, again, I feel that project, could be implemented before the end of the fiscal year. And of course, the Midtown benches, that's a no-brainer. I could get that one done in a couple weeks time. So, and then of course the stage, there is quite a turnaround time. That is one item, Judy, that we would probably have to put together specs and, put together a bid put it in the bid process to initiate that purchase, because we did inquire with the vendor if they belong to any type of purchasing cooperative, specifically with the state of New Mexico, and they did not. So that one would be a little bit more of a lengthy process to finalize the purchasing.
Because right now, through March, there's a gap between budget and actual revenues received of 600,000. Plus you still have April, May, and June receipts to come in. So, I don't know how much those first three, let me add them up real quick.
497 plus 191.
So you're at 688. I think those first three for sure, and probably the benches could be done just within the current year.
So it'd be the Eagle Creek Sports Complex, the Grindstone Lake Master Plan recommendations, and the Alto Conceptual Plan and the benches.
Yes.
So all those, we love supporting Rocky.
And then the stage would go to fiscal year 22.
What are your recommendations? What do y'all think about all this?
think you just need to drive down by Alto in July on a Saturday and see what, or go through Grindstone and just see what a mess it can be. So, yeah, I mean, I think these are very necessary.
And then we'll just circle back around and revisit the stage next fiscal once we see how this year closes up and just kind of address it from there and determine if it's a good fit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sounds like
Did you say the turnaround time between order and delivery was 120 days?
It was a minimum, at a minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah, just typically with all of these type of, not only the outdoor recreation with the, docks are in high demand, and which it has been, and that salesperson did mention that stages were also a thing that people were gearing up with orders, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have some time. Okay.
So with that said, do we have a motion to fund the Eagle Creek Sports Complex, Grindstone Lake Master Plan recommendations, Alto conceptual plan, and replacement of the benches?
I make the motion to approve all of those items for Parks
All
and Rec.
righty, do we have a second?
I second.
All right. I would go with an approval on that.
Judy, and are we still okay on the Midtown Association wayfinding project too, to fit within that? He said that's something that he can have done before the end of fiscal as well. That was 30,000.
Can we visit that one at the end of April? Because I would like to see what April is, because right now that's like 700,000, and I know for sure we have 600.
Okay.
And then we can make a decision on that one.
Okay.
And if I may, Justin, Judy, on the stream habitat for $30,000, I think that is one item that I could do without at this time. But I strongly believe in that signage plan for Midtown. I really do. I mean, Matt and I have spent a lot of time down there in the last month with the sidewalk project, and that's just something that comes up all the time. Not only that, I mean, when I visit Midtown myself, I see people who seem lost because they don't know where all the parking is. I mean, unless you're kind of a local, you don't know all those hidden spots. You don't know that there's parking behind the Midtown Commons or Vinnie and Val's, and so I really think, I would hate to miss out on that one.
What is the turnaround time on that? Like if that's not a big.
For Matt or?
For the signage.
He said that they can get it done and then printed before the end of fiscal.
Okay.
So that would be, so Judy, what if this, because I don't want to forego that stream either. I want to make sure we do all this the right way. So if we do all of this, is there a way to tentatively say that we're willing to fund that, assuming at the end of April that we have enough funds available to do that project? And then are we going to be required to re-meet and have another meeting, or is that something that can stand according to this agenda?
Let me think. Let's see.
Let's add that in there, and then
What we could do is we could add it in the budget, and then let's say, or make the recommendation, and then if for some reason the revenues don't start coming close to what we need for budget to get them all in, then we'll just postpone it.
That's a good idea.
Or postpone one of the other ones, maybe?
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Because I think we can get it all. I think we'll be okay, but I think it's good to be conservative.
Okay, that sounds good then.
Okay. So now we just need to go through the budget really quick and make sure we tally up to 1.6. Where are our adjustments? We basically, Judy, when we did this, we carried over basically the majority of the stuff from 19, right? Or, from 19.
Yeah, so if you look at the budget that is in the packet, the worksheet, and then if you add in the 1.6 and increase The advertising to 400 and the special events to 100, plus now add in the stage. I think we're pretty close to zeroing out.
Yeah, and we have a reduction on the software maintenance from 75 to 50.
Right. I
So
think
that-
we're almost there.
Okay.
But let me run it. So now the software is going to what?
It's gonna go down to, let me just verify the request.
50?
50.
50. Is Samantha still on the call? Samantha, are you still on the call? Oh, that's why it's the old company. Yeah, year one total 48,960, so 50 just to be safe, yeah.
So if we wanted to do, if we included the reduction in the software and then those other additions, plus the stage, we would be over budget by $63,000. But you might have some cash balances to cover that 60,000 at the end of the year, depending on how the fiscal year closes out.
I think we will too.
As busy as we are right now and last month, yes.
Okay.
So I think we're kind of there, pretty good there. The only thing I have to verify is the cost on the Zia contract, Zia Trans contract, and I think we're pretty much there. I think we're good. Being out 62,000, I'm sure we're gonna have cash balance available.
Okay, so where are we at with the final budget? Because that's what we're gonna need to recommend, a budget of is it exactly 1.6?
Yeah, so that would change your budget worksheet. The revenue's at 1.6 million instead of the 1.5. And then the only other numbers that would have changed would be, the marketing and advertising is gonna go from 380 to 400. And then the special events from 40,000 to 100,000. And then a reduction in the software maintenance from 75,000 to 50,000. And then you're gonna have a projects and, or equipment, line item now of $224,021.
Looks good. I don't even know how to make that motion. How? So,
I would say, the budget worksheet, as presented in the packet with the following changes: increase the revenues to 1.6 million. Increase the marketing and advertising line item to 400,000, an increase of 20,000. Increase the special events line item by 60,000 to a budget amount of 100,000. Reduce the software maintenance by 25,000 to 50,000 and include the capital outlay for the stage and sound package and lights at $224,021.
that all sounded right to me, based on what we discussed, so,
Maybe you can just say as stated in the record.
okay.
Yeah, because my pen just died trying to write that. No, really, I mean, it quit working.
So we'll need a motion from the board to accept the lodger's tax budget presented in the record at 1.6 million, based on the line item adjustments that were aforementioned.
I make the motion to approve as presented in the record.
All right, do we have a second?
I second that.
All right. All in favor? Obviously, the two. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Judy.
Judy, you're
And I'll
the
go ahead and
best.
make those changes in the system, Sam and Justin, so you guys don't have to worry about them.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, is that everything?
I think it's everything, guys. Thank you so much for another great year of doing this. I always feel stressed out, but you guys make it easy, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, this used to be a 10-hour marathon. All right, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.